All right, welcome one, welcome all to the 2025 Unnecessary Game Awards Extravaganza Fiesta, fucking other words. This is where we sit and we talk about things that released in 2025 and we assign them arbitrary awards that I feel are somewhat interesting, hopefully.
Definitely necessary.
Man, it's 2025 has been a landmark year, one of the greatest years in the history of video game releases, one of the weirdest years in the history of video game releases. There's just like so much to talk about them. And we got a lot of categories on here. I'll kind of scroll through our entire list so people can see the different awards. We got a lot of stuff on here that's not really we're going to talk a lot about specific games, but I think a big part of any year is like looking back on just the kind of industry impact news stories, just different things, the events, moments that took place where it's you're looking outside of just because for I guess I don't know, this isn't a spoiler, but for spoilers for I'm struggling with words today. I already did my game of the year ranking. I did that last night. It's like 4 hours long.
Ooh,
It's yeah. That's
you should have cut out all of them puppet segments and all them sponsorships that you've been garnering, you know?
yeah.
Didn't you hear that's the feedback good old Jeff gets? Cut out the singing, and you get it down to an hour.
I mean, it's not to go into all that, but it is though. Like, what a tough task of
Mm.
having a show that 100 million people, or let's say realistically, probably 30 million people, and those 30 million people watch it different times and watch different reactions. And anywho, who cares? 100 million people, according to their estimates, and getting that amount of traction is more than any other showcase in the industry. And you're creating like an entertainment spectacle as well. It's not just like a digital presentation like a PlayStation showcase or an Xbox or a Nintendo Direct. Like it is a spectacle, an in-person event as well. And yeah, I feel for Keeley. I think Keeley gets a lot of shit, and it's like, dude, you don't want the alternative. The alternative sucks. I lived through the Spike Game Awards years. That shit is horrendous when it's fully like 100% corporatized. That
Yeah,
it's
like
brutal.
you want that, like for instance, like I take jabs at the puppet things, but you want there to be some soul. Otherwise, it's just completely soulless. And like you said, very corporatized and stuff like that. There's charm to what they do. It's not just like they've had wobbles over the course of the years and stuff like that, with the obviously Christopher Judge being told to like hurry up and stuff like that. It's because they were still figuring it out though at that point, still all them years later of like how long do we allow people to have their acceptance speeches and stuff like that. Like there still needs to be something that has the ball rolling and stuff. We can't just have someone speak for 25 minutes praising and thanking everybody. That's not good for the flow.
Pacing wise, I thought this year was almost as good as last year. Like last year was the best show ever in terms of announcements without a doubt, but this year like I thought things were paced expertly until we got to the final reveal with the High Guard, live service thing. That was just a straight up miss. It was one or two things. It was either Tencent funded and we'll figure out that later, or
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia funded
it
and we'll figure out that later, or it was just Keeley missed, and that happens.
it happens. It happens. You just because it's the type of thing of like he could have genuinely believed the things he was saying. He could have had fun with it, and he was like, "Yeah, people are gonna love this." You know, people have been playing art creators and stuff like that. Like, and it's just that everyone was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
Um, yeah, you can't win them all
I don't.
unless you're Expedition 33.
They won them all. Ain't no doubt about that. It's. I think you can't close off a show with a service game unless it's a known. Like if it's sure if that was Titanfall 3 and it had live service elements, a battle royale, free to play, something, sure, you can do that. But with a new IP, it's going to be an uphill battle for
Yeah,
sure.
even if it was Titanfall 3, it would have been a tough ask as
Mm.
well. It's the type of thing of yeah, you just have a really big divide in the industry. Some people just are very adamant against any form of multiplayer, any form of live service stuff. Yeah,
It's
it was just a miss, and I'm sure he'll learn from that, and hopefully he doesn't repeat it next year, and that doesn't become a theme. Because if it is money hatted, for instance, by one of them, and then it happens next year again and again because they keep
mm-hmm.
upping the money, then it's like, okay, this is a problem.
Yeah, because I mean, for final reveal territory, you're probably talking
Hmm.
about $20 million, something like that. Like it's that's a big bag if it's getting paid because they said it was what 3 million for or a million for a 3 minute
Yeah,
spot.
it was absurd, absurd for just the shortest amount of time for a clip, like a million, like you said, for a few minutes, and that's yeah,
So
baffling.
imagine the first trailer, the closing trailer. Like yeah, I would imagine all of that is has a the thing though is
It's why Larian put their thing at the front. They were like, "Fuck no, we ain't paying that money.
yeah.
Doesn't matter where we put this thing, it will get buzz."
I can almost guarantee you they didn't pay anything. I think that there's studios who don't pay a dollar. Um,
It's gonna be
man,
really interesting if like you could if something ever like falls apart and then things come out of like, oh, and this year you saw Sony pay this much money, and then the next year because they won like 15 awards or whatever across all the things, they didn't pay jack shit.
yeah, it's. I think that I think it's all studio dependent, but like that's how I would run it too. Like if I'm being completely honest, as a capitalist operating in the society that we are thrown into, like if I was running that award show, yeah, you gotta weigh all that. If Naughty Dog has a new game and it's gonna get 20 million views, you ain't got to pay shit. If Larian has a new game and it's going to
Yeah,
get 20,
because they could just put that on YouTube and it will get almost the same. Like, yeah, you
yeah.
have they're saying 100 million, but it will spread just as fast on YouTube alone. So it's you want it at your show because then
Mm-hmm.
your show it's like when you get sponsorships on the front of sports teams. That's the whole point. Because if an iconic moment happens in that kit, it's immortalized to the end of time. That sponsorship, when you think back to like great teams and stuff like that, and it's the same with that. You want it tied to your award show.
And it's like, if you got to take $20 million from some potentially shady companies or companies who maybe have a game that you think looks like dog shit, but they're offering crazy money to have it as the final. Like, I can't say I would be immune to those offers either. I've never been made an offer I couldn't refuse, so I haven't had to refuse it. But damn, I imagine if Tencent came knocking and was like, hey, we're gonna open your next YouTube video with a trailer of High Guard, which once again I don't know if it's Tencent fun. I have no idea. I'm just speculating. But it's like, well, shit, you're paying me this amount of money for a minute long clip that
Mhm.
I if it's fuck you money to where I can go and just completely become a recluse and never have to interact with the civilization again, like that's a different type of that's a type of offer that I don't think I'll ever get in my life. But and a part of me kind of doesn't want to ever get it in my life because I want to think that I'm morally above accepting it, but I don't fucking know, man. I've been very, very, very broke in my life, and I have what was Little Wayne sleeping at the top, nightmares of the bottom. I mean, that's a like I'm not sleeping at the fucking top in my single wide trailer, but even just not being fucking homeless and then having a
Mm.
little house finally, like I I have nightmares all the time about darker days. And so if someone was telling me, hey, you can get out of that single wide and get into a 2 bedroom brick house, I don't know if I wouldn't sell my soul just for that little come up. So yeah, but it is nice to be on the outside, the broke person throwing stones at the rich people. I'll always take this.
Fuck you, Keeley. Yeah, you fucking sellout. I
No.
wouldn't do it. But no, a lot of people have that mindset, and it's like if you were in his shoes, I doubt many would be turning that down
Yeah.
at the end of the day. It is what it is.
Although that motherfucker's dad wasn't he like the COO of IMAX, co-founder of IMAX or some shit? So they already
Yeah,
got like crazy generational
but
fuck you money.
yeah, I don't know how that gets spread out for the Game Awards and stuff, and where that funnels. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We're
moral of the story: don't fucking close out of a terrible game. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But anywho, oh yeah, so what I was saying before Loon rudely interrupted my 10-minute rant that I was about to go on for no fucking reason. I did a 4-hour video going through and ranking all my favorite games of 2025. I recorded that last night and we're going to hit this one today. This is our this is not our game of the year. I want to be clear. I've had comments in the past. Well, where's your game of the year and the award show? I got a totally different, long, deep dive into. I talked about Expedition 33 for like 15 minutes. I talked about KCD2 for like 15 minutes. All of the games that you're. This is a very very different style of thing for our
Yeah,
awards.
these are more like fun, uh, like things to pinpoint rather than because I made sure as well, like to not because I could easily be like Expedition 33 for a lot of this stuff. For me personally, for a lot of these, and it's just like there's no point in that. Like the show love because that was something that I felt with the Game Awards. I'd like them to have some limit of something, maybe like, and just give it like a stamp or something. Like, do you know the Nintendo thing? Like, if it gets all six that it's in, that's it. You can just you class that as an all-time great.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to dominate every single other award. Um, because it is absurd. There was a lot of people that were like, "Ugh," by the end of it, and it does. It feels defeating when it's that big of a sweep and a pounding.
yeah, and I think the way that we build these categories out, it doesn't. There's just a lot more that we're discussing here than
There's
just
variety
yeah,
in ways that wouldn't connect it to only one game.
yeah.
So it's nice.
Yeah, we're just kind of fucking around here. A way to shoot the shit about the year that was, and
Hmm.
um, yeah. But anywho, Loon, I'm sure you're going to be doing a game of the year ranking on your channel now that you're rolling out your weekly video series, commentary videos. Um, and so check out Loon's channel for all of that good stuff, and I will have that linked in the description. But without further ado, how about we kick it off with the pleasant surprise of the year? The game that jumped out at you and you were like, wow, I didn't expect this shit to be good and it was kind of good. Or the game that you didn't see coming and it fucking snuck up on you and really, as the title of the award would suggest, surprised you.
Wow, shocking.
You
Did you want to go first, or is it me?
go ahead and go first, man.
Um, this is probably going to be a bit of a surprise. But it's ready or not.
Oh, nice.
Um, I think it came out on PC already. Like, I don't know how many years, or if it was a year or whatever, or if it's been in early access. But it obviously wasn't on console for a very long time. It felt like, and I'd seen clips of people playing it, and it was like, man, that looks so snappy, so damn good. Uh, Being a huge fan of like Rainbow Six, Vegas, and Siege and stuff like that, very into tactical first-person shooters. But you always have at the back of your head, if they port it to console, it's gonna play like shit
Mm,
because you had all of the early PC games of like Xbox One and PS4 generation when they did try and port them, and they played like shit. And it's just like, this is something that definitely is at home on a mouse and keyboard. No, man, they knocked it out of the park. It's cumbersome to learn, don't get me wrong, but it once it's all, you're like three missions in, it's just second nature. Like they've done a really good job with the control schemes and just the game is so intense. Like they start you off the first scenario is like you're going for a gas station and there's been a hold up and then it just escalates and escalates to more and more. You go to like a school, a university, and defuse IEDs there and stuff like that, and it's just yeah. And they don't screw around as well. It's you get hit. Like if a bullet hits you in the head, you're out. That's it.
I love
Mission, you
that.
start it from the beginning. And the thing is like you would think that would get tiring, but it doesn't because they also change up where the location of the objectives are. So you're learning the layout of the environment, but the objective placement changes. So you're like, okay, I remember that we cleared this room, this leads into that and that and that. So you're much more aware of your surroundings so you can focus on the firefight. It's so damn good.
Is it
It
like
also
that?
has a go on.
Is it like that for enemies too, where like if you hit them in the head, it's immediate, like there's no
Hmm.
fucking chip damage, it's real as can be.
Yep, yep,
Nice.
yep. You're sitting there issuing your orders with your squad and stuff, like mounting up. You have to use the wand to stick it underneath the doors to check for tripwires and stuff like that, and also checking to see who's on the other side. You issue them orders to put C4 on, breach and clear and stuff like that. So damn good. It's kind of what shocked me. I guess it's because it came out on PC beforehand, but like hearing that Battlefield won like best sound design for a first person shooter of that, like I don't think it should have won it. There was other games on there that I think did it, but like Ready or Not walks over Battlefield because it's so much more what's the word, like personal because it's so tight. Like you hear like flashbangs going off in like tunnels is deafening and stuff like that. It's crazy.
I need to buy a copy of this, man. I don't know why I waited so long.
It is
It's
it is fully single player as well. You have your AI squad mates you can play through the entire game single player, and it is all multiplayer as well if you want to do that route. I wouldn't
nice.
suggest that though. I don't trust people.
Shit, yeah, man. Well, ready or not, here we come. Shout out to it. Um, I think for me, for my winner for pleasant surprise of the year, I'm gonna have to go with Cabernet. This was
Mm.
the vampire RPG, the indie vampire RPG that came out earlier this year, and it's I didn't like this just dropped on the PlayStation storefront. I had no knowledge of the game, no expectation, no real like I didn't know anything about it at all really, and I just booted it up because there was a vampire lady on the cover and said something about vampire role playing. There's not many of these to play, so I jump
Mm.
in and I'm not expecting much, and I was just stunned. It's a incredibly in depth little indie RPG where your choice really does matter and there's real agency and real consequence, and like you're sneaking around and transforming into a bat and having to seduce people to drink their blood, and then having the different dialogue options and relationships with the townsfolk, and you can go and interact with all the NPC. It's very impressive how in depth this game is for a I think like $20 extremely indie RPG. I loved this game, man.
Yeah, it had issues, but I think they ironed a lot of it out. I've seen some because I ended up picking it up when you were talking about it.
Mm.
Didn't want to jump in just in case I replicated them issues, but most of them, from what I gather, have been have been ironed out, which is always great to see because that's sometimes the unfortunate thing that happens with indie games
Yep.
when they get released. If it doesn't sell well, they don't have the luxury of sitting there and patching it. They just have to move on to the next project because they're living paycheck to paycheck, man.
Yep. And then a lot of them
Um,
are, they're risking life savings and shit. Like
yep.
it's a tall task, but I can
Yeah.
speak to that a little bit more. Where I ran into a game breaking bug my first playthrough, completely could not finish the game, like could not finish the main story, and I was it's like, damn, man, that is such a bummer. But I did go back to it, and I waited like weeks would go by, try again, try again, try again. A couple months later, I booted it up, and I was able to finish the main story. There was still a side quest for me, like a pretty prominent side quest that was bugged out, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I love that game, man. That's one I'm definitely going to replay very soon.
Mhm. I need to give it a go as well myself.
The next category that we have on the board is most unique. Loon, what is the most unique game you played in 2025? And I want to hear because this is one that I think everybody's going to have a different descriptor for what unique is and what qualifies as unique, and I want you to kind of build your definition for unique and for this game why it would qualify as unique for you. And to be clear, I don't know what Loon selected. He doesn't know what I selected. As you see, I'll be going through and pulling up all this footage on the fly. Like I don't want Loon to tell me his selections. I don't want to tell him my selections. I do want there to be some sort of spontaneous, like I want to be surprised by Loon's selections and vice versa.
Well, the most unique for me would have been Promise Mascot Agency.
Well,
Um,
maybe not as
it's kind of a
surprising.
kind of a dead giveaway if you've been there at the beginning of the year when I unraveled that. Um, but yeah, it's unique because they're literally. I know many people say this. There genuinely isn't a game that plays like this. It has obviously elements of every other game, but to mash them all together because it's like a open world driving sandbox collectathon card game, mini game, addict. It's got so much comedy tied into it. And it's just like, I don't understand how you pulled all these elements and you ended up with this and it works.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it gets a little bit long-winded with some of the stuff. Maybe they could have cut a little bit of it, but you're genuinely invested in seeing like it has a decent enough intrigue as well for a story for being a complete comedy game. It has no right to have as good as like a narrative thing that it's plucking at and stuff like that. It's just really it's so satisfying as well because even when you're not doing the narrative side and you're doing the card battles and stuff like that, you're driving around this world in a car that it starts off feeling like a slog a little bit. It doesn't. It's not snappy, really. It's good enough to get you through, and then it gives you a power up. You get to jump, you get to fly, you get to shoot, and it just gets better and better. You turn it into a boat and stuff like that, and it just opens up this world of just layers of. Oh my God! I can actually. It's telling me I can fly, and then reach this like mountain and stuff like that and all these like cool little collectibles that it's adding in, and the intrigue is tying into the collectibles as well because there's like a curse that's supposedly in like inhabiting the town of like anybody who comes in can't leave. It's like a dead town and stuff like that, and it all becomes clear as the game progresses on. It's a really good game. It's so unbelievably good, and it was one of them things of like it was so good I went and searched because I didn't know who the developer was. I ended up going and searching up and immediately buying the game that they made beforehand, which I don't think there's any higher praise than that. I
What
didn't need to know anything about it.
what was it?
Paradise Killer, I think.
Oh, wow. Right. Yeah.
Because you get, and what was crazy is that I don't know anything about that game, but when you look on the cover, you're like, oh my God, they're the collectible, like they're the special cards that you get in the game. So they're like, they really love this like thing that they're building. So it's really, really interesting. It's like a universe, I guess, as to what it. I think it's. I can't remember what they're called. Kaizen, maybe
Yeah.
something. But yeah, just I wouldn't be able to summarize it in one word. It is that unique. It's just a complete trip of a game. It's what I expect like Suda to make, and I'm fairly certain he had a hand in it as well. Is what I saw.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
there was, I think they pulled a few like notable wacky creators to do stuff in the game. It's voiced by the same voice actor as Kiryu as well from Yakuza. Like they went really ham with it, and yeah, got the success hopefully that it deserved.
It's like whenever you said it, I wasn't saying, oh, that's not surprising in terms of like you've been praising it nonstop or anything like that, which I think we both like the game. And I was more saying that's not surprising because I think that is probably the correct choice. Like out of everything I played in 2025, I think that might be the most unique game just Point blank, period.
Yeah, there's one other. If we were doing runner-ups, I don't know. Did you play Clover Pit?
No, but I know what you're talking about. The what is it? Slot machine, roguelike.
Yeah,
Well,
that's that's a weird game. That's a very weird game. I've been enjoying it, end up beating it. Yeah. Just it was one of them things where it's like, surely it can't be. It was like the Balatro thing. I was like, I left it a few weeks when it came out. I was like, it's in Game Pass, just boot it up. There's no risk. It's
mhm.
like couldn't stop playing.
I I struggle between two for most unique as well, and I'll give a quick shout out to Deliver at All Costs, but I'll talk about that again later
Mm.
in the video. I think that's definitely one of the most unique games of the year. But I'm going to award Despelote here.
Mm.
This is the game all about, you know, Ecuador and the, I believe, early 2000s, their attempt at making the World Cup. And it's just it's like a slice of life style game that I think the thing that I am so impressed with about Despelote is like how mundane it is. For so long, I've wanted a game that is like a sitcom, a game that is like a okay, well, here's you're going to work and you're living your life, and but it's like an actual story. There's, like actually getting to play something like a Seinfeld. I know that there was mock-ups for that back in the day of like how can we create a Seinfeld game, and but I think there's something there of just even I know that this is very much on a tighter budget, but having a small slice of life and experiencing like Ecuadorian culture around this time period and seeing the influence of soccer and how much it impacted just day to day life and the culture there. Like just having something very specific that you're focused on detailing and showing and highlighting. Like, yeah, it was. We get a ton of these first person walking sim narrative driven things, but I've just never seen one quite as like there's no big moment. There's no big reveal. There's no like I can't believe the character just got shot in the head. Like it's
It's
not,
grounded,
yeah, it's just
and
life.
that's yeah, that's something that's so rare because there always has to be. It feels like in entertainment, like a shock, a twist. Oh, didn't see that coming. But it's just yeah, it's telling history as it was, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, as it's focusing on what Ecuador did, and then bringing it down to a human level as to like what was going on, how people were, feeling and reacting during that time.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of like a documentary as well as
Mm.
it is a video game. It's yeah, man. It's a special title. So that's going to be my winner for most unique, but what do you have for most underrated? And this is another one where I don't really qualification be damned. I don't care if it's a game that you is a 94 on Metacritic, but you think it's still not getting enough love, or if it's a game that there's so many different ways to shout out underrated in my opinion. Something like Despelote could be underrated and it's one of the highest rated games of the year. But it's unfortunately probably not a lot of people play Despelote. So for that reason it would be overlooked, underrated, whatever you would want to call it. So what do you have for your winner for most underrated game of 2025?
So it's gonna be a little bit of a stretch. I'm sure people have heard about it a decent amount, but Tainted Grail,
Hmm.
The Fall of Avalon. It's been in early access and development and stuff like that on PC for quite a long time, so maybe people have like heard it. And that's the danger of doing stuff like that with early access is that when it's kind of floating around in the background, when it finally gets its 1.0 release, maybe it doesn't make the explosive entrance that you would expect. Um, but they did a really damn good job of like replicating what it is to be a Bethesda RPG. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this now, I'm not I'm very harsh on Bethesda because I can see that they can do more, but it seems like they don't bother a lot of the time. They seem to fixate on one thing, like Fallout 4 with the crafting, and then just let everything else kind of be like, we'll sort that out later. And then by the time they get around to trying to sort it out later, it's too late. The game needs to come out. Same with Starfield of like, yeah, we got these millions of planets and the shipbuilding and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, what about like making the locations interesting to explore? Oh, I kind of forgot that. Because you have like a few of the quests in Starfield that are fun and interesting, but there's a lot of just filler. And this is on a hell of a lot of a tighter budget, so don't be expecting, Starfield levels of like expansiveness. They've ripped it back to zones and stuff. They're big zones to explore,
Yeah, they are.
but it's just an RPG. It is a really, really good replication of what Bethesda should have been doing this whole time. Hopefully, Bethesda looks at it for the Elder Scrolls 6 and takes elements back of this because they've strayed a little bit far in recent memory of what they've done. So hopefully they can look at it and gain some inspiration because it's incredible.
Just
You didn't
don't.
end up finishing it, right?
I couldn't. The game was completely broken for me. It
Yeah. So
that's
they have fixed it up. It's all good. The only thing that I'll ding it for, it had a DLC that's released as well, so there's got extra content to be given. The the finale, the beginning of the finale is really bad.
mm,
It oozes because you. This is the thing as well. I throw Larian praise a lot, but they also seem to suffer from this. When you have an early access game, you usually polish the front really damn well because it's what people are experiencing constantly. So you end up polishing the front, doing a pretty good job in the middle, and then when it gets to the ending, it kind of you've run out of time, and it feels like they definitely ran out of time with that like intro to the finale. The actual finale is really cool, but just the dungeon that they decide to make you explore is really poor quality. So
yeah.
hopefully they go back and do like a director's cut and change some aspects with that because they don't seem finished with the game at all. I think it's going to get a lot of love.
Yeah, it's one that like if this gets a physical release and it has a complete build and it's cleaned out a lot of those issues, I'll definitely jump back in. I would certainly want to at some point. But just real quickly here for winner for most underrated for me, I am gonna go with Deliver at All Cost. This is I've talked about it endlessly on the channel this year, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's just a incredibly well made GTA 1, GTA 2, that era top down, driving around in a world full of destructive environments, and it does that on a level that I've really never seen done like this, where literally every single building in this town you can just wreck through and then leave debris that will scatter throughout the world, and you have all these physics interactions where you're loading watermelons into the truck bed, and then it's toppling over as you're taking swift turns, and it's just an incredibly well made. It's got one specific vision, one specific idea, and it just does it so well throughout the entire game. But then on top of that, it has a story that I was blown away by. I could not believe that they put so much attention and craftsmanship into the story. They really give a shit about it's a lot of story in this game. And I wasn't really expecting that at all. I was told, and I was fine with that. I was fine with having no story just because I like driving around in games and fucking shit up. I thought it was going to be like a little podcast game, but I couldn't really listen to a podcast. There was so much story, and I'm equally okay with that. I'm more okay with that. I like stories in games. So this just hit me perfectly for exactly what I want. I talk about it all the time. Like, I wish we had more racing games with stories. I wish we had more driving games with stories. And we got one that was really fucking good, with a world that is extremely destructive and full of interactivity and just these different crazy chaotic situations that can occur. I loved Deliver at All Costs, man.
Yeah, it's one I missed out this year, and definitely hope to get around to trying it at some point.
Yeah, it did get a physical release, but I think it got a limited print run. Um, but yeah, it's one I highly recommend to anyone who likes the old GTA 1 and 2 formula. Um, what let's see, we got next up we have most disappointing to discuss. And Loon, I'll let you kick that off. What is the most disappointing game of 2025 for you, sir?
FM 26.
Football Manager.
Um, it's mainly the console version because don't get me wrong, both versions are kind of a little bit balked. Um, but the PC version has been a lot more cleaned up now. I've not gone back to the console version. To put it into perspective, the PC version was just incomplete, it felt like. The console version is the one I have the most issues with because you couldn't even type your name out. The game lagged when you're trying to access and it's just like it's I don't understand how like because they turn around and say like certification processes for console games and stuff like that, and it needs to meet certain standards. It's not like an hour in you're getting a bug. You can't write your name. That's the beginning of the game. Like write your name, you can't because the game doesn't let you. It's just like what the fuck are you guys doing? Um, and yeah, it's it's just a disappointment overall as well with the PC version. It's they took a year off. I'm willing to give them a slight benefit of the doubt. It is difficult when you're moving engines and stuff like that, and you're trying to overhaul your entire vision. There's a reason that sports games keep the very same foundations annually and don't change much because you just kind of need to just reskin it. Little tweak and improvement here, little tweak and improvement there because you can't uproot it every year. You don't have enough time for that. This will be a good. It's a good foundation what they've built for the PC version. I can't speak on the console version, but yeah, console version was the biggest disappointment considering I've played that and 100% of them every single year since
Yeah.
they've been dropping. It's like 4 or 5 years now. And it's just like I don't know if I want to do this one.
Right. Yeah. That's a fucking
So
bummer, man.
yeah,
Um so FM 26 most disappointing game of 2025 for Loon. And man, I think for me, my most disappointing, I got to toss up between three, and I don't really know which of the three I'm going to select here. I'll tell you my three that I'm looking at, and you can kind of walk me through it. I got Lost Records, Skate, and Mind's Eye. And this is honestly what
oh,
I have for
what
all of
a
my.
what a trifecta of greatness! My goodness.
I got this for all of my categories where it's just like a list of a couple games, and then I'm on the fly sort of selecting the one that I want to go with. This is one where these other ones have been fairly easy to select from. This is one where I really do not know. Out of these three, Lost Records, Skate, and Mind's Eye, all in different ways disappointed me damn near equally.
Yeah, it's was there any that because like for instance, you could surely smell that Mind's Eye was going to be something with how it was like built up, marketed. There was nothing there, so I don't think that would have been like the over like disappointing maybe that from Leslie Benzi right is what it
Mm-hmm.
was.
Yeah.
Just like oh that's kind of sucky that that's your follow up project. But the other two like they're established games that have come out and have had like really good like Skate Free and stuff like that. And then the other one, Lost
Life
Records,
is Strange,
drawing
Don't
a,
Nod.
yeah, I was gonna say
Uh-huh.
you have an admiring love for like that development studio and the games that they make.
Yeah,
So
I think the thing with Mind's Eye though is like I was expecting like maybe a 6, and I would have been fine with that. I wasn't expecting like a 4. It's and I don't even think Mind's Eye is necessarily as bad as a 4 or a 3 or whatever. Like it's not as bad as like base Cyberpunk or anything to that effect, but it's like it's a functional video game. You can play it. It's just it threw me back to the days of like Narc on the PS2 and 187 Ride or Die, like just a really
Well,
bad GTA clone.
the thing is though, is it's the 180 of Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk was broken to play,
Mm-hmm.
but it had the bones and the recipe and everything there. You could be like, I can see the vision. It's not working.
Yeah.
Whereas with Mind's Eye, like you can play the game for the most part. There's just nothing there.
There's no vision. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like I don't what are we telling here?
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. It's man, I think that you know, I think honestly, I'm gonna go Mind's Eye. I know that's a boring choice, but it's just here. And here's why I'm gonna say it's disappointing to me. It's not because I thought the game was going to be fucking excellent or anything like that. Obviously, it's the fact that we just don't get games. We don't get any GTA clones of a AAA caliber at all. And thankfully this year we did have Mafia the Old Country, which was excellent. But we go years and years and years without games in this genre at all. And it's a genre I adore. I love the Grand Theft Auto clone. And I would have been totally happy with just like a double A linear attempt at a GTA clone with a decent budget backing it and some solid third person
Mm.
shooting, some solid driving. And the driving in Mind's Eye, will give it a shout out. It's kind of fucking like ridiculously good, way too good. It makes no sense why the driving is that good. I think it's because they pulled it from that Everywhere game where a core component of Everywhere is going to be racing and driving, and then so a lot of those mechanics were easily transferred over, but that they forgot to build anything at all that is compelling in terms of a story, in terms of characters, in terms of a world, in terms of the gunplay's fine enough. But it's nothing great. And I wouldn't even say fine enough, honestly. Like the gunplay's not particularly strong. You're seeing the bullets and they look like laser beams, like a fucking Star Wars rifle, like a blaster. Yeah, it's disappointing for sure. I almost don't want to select it because it's such an obvious pick and it feels kind of boring. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, Suicide Squad was the most disappointing game in 2024. Mind's Eye is, for me, the most disappointing game in 2025. Skate, is it disappointing? Yeah. But it's just because I like the old Skate, and now they're doing something new. But can I say it's bad per se? I'm disappointed
It
that it's not.
found yeah, it found a little bit of love from a certain people. There was like a good I saw like clips of people having fun with it. I don't know about Lost Records. I didn't hear anything about that. That kind of just came and went. It's a very weird title because it launched straight into PlayStation's subscription, right?
Yep, day
And
one.
then I think it went into Game Pass as well recently.
Mm.
I think they're really struggling with it.
Yeah, and Mind's Eye, I think the reason that I wouldn't uh, shout out Lost Records for most disappointing is because it's a fine game. I think for me to be disappointing, you do have to be just there has to be a tinge of like, damn, this is bad. You know, at least how I'm thinking of it right now. Because when I think of Lost Records, like that game is totally competent, totally fine. It's a functional video game that like if you just somehow get into the characters, which I was kind of into the characters, I
Mm.
just wasn't into the story presentation with
It's,
how they rolled it out with the flashbacks.
yeah, it's just not for you. But when you're trying to love something and it's fighting you back, that's when it becomes. At least that's how I view it. That's why I like chose the console FM 26. It's like I
Mm,
want to love you, but you don't let me.
yeah, and
That's really disappointing.
I should actually type that in for yours. I'll put console next to it. That way
Mm.
that is clear. All right. So now we head into my favorite award that we give out each year, best moment of a video game from the year 2025. And Luna, I will kick it to you to hear your. I'm very curious if we have the same best moment. I think that. Anyway,
Nope,
I'll let you go.
there's no way.
Okay.
because you didn't play it.
Oh.
I thought about there's obviously tons of them. You had like the several boss fights in Expedition 33 that could have easily been placed there, but I thought it was kind of boring of being like, like don't get me wrong, they would deserve 100% deserve to be there. Some of the stuff that they pulled off, absolutely. I went with Lies of P, Overture's DLC.
Hmm.
Um, and there's two clips that should be in there. And it's when this character, because you don't
Hold
see
up one
this a lot
second. Where did you send the clips?
in the Zoom.
Oh, it's in Zoom. Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. Go ahead. I'll pull it up real quick.
Um, you don't usually in like Souls likes you don't have a companion with you in the way that they did it. They did this like it's Uncharted for this section, where it's a companion that's joining you through an area, you're going through it, you're fighting side by side, and then it gives you a cinematic like explosion. And then also they end up joining you in the final fight. So spoilers for Lies of P. If you don't want to know what the final fight is. But they have two cinematic flares.
One more second.
Right. So yeah, it's such a rare thing for an NPC to join you in a Souls-like, and that's what made this so impactful. Because I'm fairly certain you hear about this character throughout the original game, in like item descriptions and stuff like that. So you hear, and then throughout the all of the DLC as well, they're like bigged up as this amazing character and very important to the plot. And you hear about like all their powerfulness and stuff like that, and you see it in action. And you're going through this area, and it's so satisfying because you don't usually see that. And it was a nice break as well because the DLC had been so difficult up until that point to give you an NPC that just stomps um, an entire area basically. It was like, oh, nice. I get to like take a little bit of a relaxing step back, see this unfold, and you get like cinematic flair. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Also,
Nice,
the
man.
DLC in general is just absolutely hands down like one of the best Souls-like DLCs I've ever played. And it's just like I don't understand. Like usually, because FromSoft had a tendency to maybe having like very weak elements in their base game, and then the best stuff has always been the DLC and stuff like that. Liza P's kind of like knocked it out of the park both times now, which makes me even more excited for that sequel. Because it's like I don't understand how like it's like a 9 out of 10 that original game, and then that DLC is like a 9.5 in my opinion.
Shit, yeah, man. And shout out to, let me pop it up on the stream here.
Should be Fighting
Fighting
Cowboy.
Cowboy.
Ooh.
For the gameplay clip here. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess to your credit, not trying to pull a game awards and give Expedition 33 every single award here, but yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go with the end. The end of Expedition 33 is definitely one that
Yeah.
I thought
It,
about a lot for this. Just as like, it's not even like something we've seen it that type of story told many times before, but there is just those water cooler discussions are huge moments that rarely happen in games nowadays.
yeah, it's because as we began when we was talking about it, I didn't want to give too many awards to it, but it
Mm-hmm.
kind of it's obvious, isn't it? It's like the thing with you saying about Mind's Eye and stuff. I think I've shown my love to Expedition 33. It's my game of the generation. Easily, it's walked into the top five of all time for me already as it stands. So it could have dominated this entire list, but I wanted to just be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. I my choice is unfortunately not that interesting. I This is, speaking of like best games of the generation, I think that my choice is probably my favorite moment of the generation, and it's that damn Split Fiction ending. That thing was fucking
Mm,
crazy, dude. I just purely on like a technical level, and I got our gameplay running here. Which I guess let me
Our pro gameplay.
resize the screen a little bit so it fits in here. But this is a moment, and you see the reaction on stream as you realized before I did that you could hop from one world into the other and that they're both rendered in simultaneously, and just the reaction on your face and then the reaction on my face when I saw, like, I don't, on a technical level, like, even watching this back, I'm like, how the fuck are they doing this? How are you playing this game in the UK? I'm playing this game in the US. We are like, they're rendering both of our worlds in simultaneously. I'm swapping into your fantasy world as the sci-fi character. You're swapping into my sci-fi world as the fantasy character. They're throwing different, hurdles our way into the different worlds to where we're having to, in real time, like split second decision, jump from one world to the other to avoid oncoming collision, like right there with the helicopter. It's just shit is happening in this game on a technical level that I don't. I, even sitting back here right now, I'm like, I don't understand how they did this. Um, and I was
It's the thing that was marketed this entire generation with the SSDs. And it's you saw what was it? Crash Bandicoot, right?
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Ratchet and that was it. And it was one of them where that like heavily emphasized in its marketing and leading up to, and that was like the whole point of the generation of like being like, look what we'll be able to do with SSDs. And then like nothing really came of that like instant world switching thing. You had like the medium
Yeah,
try it, and it was just like, oh, that was gimmicky. Not a
yeah,
very good game. Um, and then you had, yeah, a big kind of, it felt like gap, and then this. Um, but it just shows like what you can do when you have extremely talented individuals in a studio that do their job really well.
yeah.
Because, like you said, it's what's even more impressive is that you can say that for like Ratchet and Clank, it's a single player game. This is
Exactly.
done. This is done over the internet, and there's no loss whatsoever. It's smooth as butter, and it's just like, okay, I see you there. He's like,
Well, and it's Split Fiction is a interesting game where you often hear the thing about multiplayer experiences where it's like, how much did you like the game versus how much did you like playing it with a friend? But it's like, we
mm,
played this in remote co-op, which I don't think either of us really love. Like, I love couch co-op so much. I love local co-op. I adore it. But like, I don't necessarily love remote co-op. It's, I, my friend group is constantly trying to get me to play NBA 2K26 with them and Madden with them, and it's like, guys, if we can get together and play in person, I'm down. I don't want to play remote online competitive or cooperative. Like, I don't like it at all. But it's it's almost, this has it working against it in a way. It's kind of the opposite of saying, well, you just like playing games with your friends. It's like, yeah, I do, but I don't like playing remote co-op games, and I still love this game so fucking much. And I think that when you're talking about, exactly to your point of Ratchet and Clank, a single player game where, yeah, it's impressive, the SSD shit with Spider-Man 2 and with the medium, but we are not even on the same fucking internet connection. There's so many different variables for things that could go wrong here. And it's like, it felt like this was the game to close off the entire run for Hazelight, where it's like, you can't get better in terms of a couch cooperative experience. I'm sure their next game will have co-op elements or availability, but it's like, yep, you peaked here, and you
you
can move
can't
on.
do this. You can't do this thing again either. Like it's been done. It will. It's that's its special moment. So if they do that again in the next game, as an example, somehow it won't be as impactful and as special. So it's probably best for them to move on and try something else. Um, I wonder if people are going to be a little bit disappointed because it was. Very, very, very creative. The storyline, don't get me wrong, can it's not a strong suit.
Yup.
At a couple of moments, which are pretty good. But that's something that they could definitely work on. But I don't think they're going to make a more fun playing game again
Yeah, they got to
because
evolve.
of the way that it's just perfect with balancing both things. So,
Yeah. And I think that that's just going to have to be something that players accept, where it's like their next game is not going to be as interesting mechanically as Split Fiction, because I don't know if it can be. Like and
no,
there comes a certain point where I'm like, I'm not even sure if it should be more
no,
interesting
exactly as
mechanically.
well. Yeah, it's fine to just go and do something else
Because I mean,
and zone in something because for instance, a lot of people weren't too happy with the way out as much as the other games. I wouldn't be disappointed if they went back and did like a really serious drama kind of thing like that again. I'd be happy with that
I'm um,
personally.
I'm almost certain that that's the direction they're going to go. I think they're going to lean into the narrative pretty heavily, because they've been getting criticized on that so much. And that Joseph Ferris, that motherfucker is a bull. That dude does not. He is absolutely. He's plugged in with all the criticism. He is a competitive motherfucker. And I will say though, shout out to that dude's. Did you see he was sitting right behind the Expedition 33 team? And was nonstop like hugging them and shit. Like I like that dude's energy a whole hell of a lot, man. Where you would see certain people like Kojima, where there was at one point, I don't remember what award it was, where Expedition 33 won something, and Kojima like kind of did like a little.
Yeah, it was the game of the year one. It also happened to him that there were people trying to spin the story that he walked out during like the speech or whatever it was, or towards the end of it.
Oh boy.
And people were like, "Oh my God, he like," and I don't think it was that. I think he just needed to go to like the toilet,
Yeah, he's
and he came
70.
back, and it's just like, guys, I need to spin it that way. But yeah, it's he's very passionate,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think he respects because he knows like that uphill battle as well. Him winning that award for what was it? It Takes Two, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't have had that in. Like you, if you were telling me like predict 10 Game of the Year winners, I wouldn't have predicted one of them winning in the same way like Baldur's Gate 3 did, kind of thing. Like you can look back in hindsight and be like, yeah, that okay, I can get it. But like leading up to it, I've been like, I don't know, I don't think so. No way. So he knows how special it is as well.
Loon, it's so crazy watching this footage back, and I'm just like, even there's things in here like the rotating the screen, which then rotates worlds as you're moving. It's like, what the fuck were they doing? This is nuts. I mean, it's video game design that is like going to be studied for years and years and years to come, from the best at their craft, to just figure out, because I've heard on like Game Maker's Toolkit, I believe, I don't remember who was doing the podcast, but they were like, this is this doesn't compute like in my brain. Like, people who have been doing this for decades are like, I don't get how they made this possible, and they're like trying to speculate and figure out, well, is it, did they do this, did they render that? It's like, fucking A, man. Just
That just shows you how like formulaic a lot of game designs become though, because they use the same pre-made tools and stuff in Unreal Engine. As like I think people have forgotten that some people did build things from the ground up and stuff like that. There's a lot of spaghetti code of your favorite games that had to do stuff in a very particular way to get things to work. And we don't really see that anymore, it feels like. So seeing that is a breath of fresh air.
man, this is crazy, and it's just, it's stunning watching this footage back, and like just looking at our faces while this shit is taking place. That's um, it's kind of a bummer that this shit did so poorly. The viewership for the playthrough is just like, god damn, man. It is so cool to kind of have to have this, kind of chronicled, and you can look back
Yeah.
on it, and like, it's just because you forget some of these things, and then you see it recaptured, and like, oh my god, just look at the fucking joy, the sheer joy that we were experiencing in this moment. It was, yeah, what a fucking moment from 2025. So shout out to Split Fiction and shout out to Lies of P Oveture, um, for taking home the best moment of 2025 award from Lunanai. And now we head on into our next category, which appears to be best narrative. Loon, are you going to surprise me on this one, or?
No, no, I'm gonna go with Expedition 33.
Okay.
I think I'll give it to this. I know a lot of people when it started to like snowball in popularity, you end up getting people who are like picking every single aspect apart of it, and people finding like different things wrong and like that's not pertinent. It's like all right, you could do that with literally everything in the world, but
Yes.
for me, it's the reason I'm saying best narrative is because it oozes what I love from JRPGs and stuff like that, but has given it a grounded and mature
Right.
like story. And that's the thing, like you can have JRPGs that do like a dark story of like certain Persona games that do it, certain other JRPGs that explore that. But it's so hard to hit the nail perfectly on the head when it's an anime character.
Mm.
And this is someone who's a fan of Persona and stuff like that, and they do it like the stories do affect me. But playing through Expedition for it felt gut wrenching some of the stuff, and it's powerful and impactful, and it was gripping. It was very very cinematic, and I'm kind of annoyed at myself I didn't write this down because I thought of a sentence about a week ago which would have been perfect, but it's something along the lines of like this is the perfect thing of like when they turned around and they announced that they're making like a TV show or a film out of it, right?
Mm.
Even before the game had like really spiraled into what it is. You're thinking a lot of times for games, it's like, oh, that's kind of probably irresponsible a little bit. Maybe see how it goes and see how it's perceived. I don't know. Like you can see like this would easily be perfectly adaptable to a
Yes.
film. And it's when you've seen it through to the whole thing, you're like probably just rip the whole game out and just put it onto the screen, and someone would happily sit there and watch all that and just not really and just remove the HUD
Well,
for a lot of it. It's crazy. It's crazy what they delivered.
it's straight up The Last of Us, right? Like it could be something so similar in turn, and there's so many parallels between this and The Last of Us. I think that the end moment, the water cooler discussion, like how rare that is in games to have a moment that captivates conversation to such a degree, like it completely dominated. Like you're hearing talks of, I mean, we did a debate, you and I had different perspectives of the ending, and we sat there and debated it for fucking an hour, just debating the ending before even talking about the gameplay and systems and mechanics, just like your thought on the ending versus my thought on the ending. And so many people had the same conversation around Joel. It's that's the shit that people remember.
That's the true strength of a great narrative, is when you come to the ending of it and you diverge into two very, very different opinions, and they're both equally valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, that's you're just completely misreading what that meant. Like they're both completely valid. It's what you take away from it. It's perfect,
Yeah,
in my
absolutely.
opinion.
And I just think that, to your point earlier, like I'm probably much more anti-anime than you are. I know that you're more lenient to that art direction. And then I've been trying to figure out my feelings on this because I know it sounds just hateful, and I don't want to ever really
No, no,
sound.
no. Because I'm gonna step in here. I was uncomfortable for the longest of time with it. Like I'd been exposed to like Final Fantasies here and there, but like anything that was fully like Persona, for instance, I didn't feel. Whenever I saw it, I was like, I didn't understand the appeal. It was just like it makes me feel uncomfortable, and it's just. I think you need. I don't mean like this for you, but just in general, when somebody's trying to break through that mold, you do just need to sit down with three or four different IPs of varying like where they're tackling it from each angle just to get exposed to it a little bit. And then you're like, okay, yeah, it's
Well,
just it's just breaking down that wall.
I think that the thing is like, do you remember that trailer we saw for that game Screamer with that animation style? It was the racing game at the Game Awards, and it just had like this. And I'll
Mm.
actually, um, well, fuck it. I can't say I can't allude to the fact that I'm gonna pull it up and then not pull it up, but I'll Screamer trailer. I'll pull it up just so, yeah, right here. Perfect. Even just this first shot of like this animation style, I fucking vibe with this what's going on here with Screamer. I really like this, and I'm not fluent enough in anime lexicon to even like I can't describe what this style is and why it speaks to me more so than the Persona style, the cutesy. Like I don't. Maybe, but that might just be a larger thing in general with me. I don't really like cutesy shit. Period. But yeah, this style of animation I adore. I love. I could play 1,000 games that look just like this. But it does seem that with JRPGs, at least in my experience, it often leans into a much cuter art style.
Yep,
Which
because it's because they use it as a marketing ploy as well. That's why you see a lot of them veer into merchandising and stuff. When Persona really began taking off, it was Mona, I believe the cat is from Persona 5. Like they marketed that to hell and back. Teddy was marketed to hell and back. They really wanted that and stuff like that. Like they make them cute so they can sell them in little plushies and stuff like that by the handfuls and stuff. So yeah.
and I totally get it, right? Like it's even become a phenomenon in America for like the longest time in America. That was not like it wasn't a thing. There was like Dragon Ball Z, and that was kind of it. And then that's kind of the culture that I grew up through, where and maybe once again, there's cultures within culture. Like I can't say all American culture is my American culture. Like I grew up in the South with around a bunch of fucking ruffians who go on to be career criminals, and like I don't, so it's like I can't say that
Do. I don't think they're doing any of that in the streets.
so like I can't say that my experience is reflective of everyone in America's or but it's like there was just no anime. I had no exposure to anime other than Dragon Ball Z, and I fucking love Dragon Ball Z. But that also has an art style that, like, the Chrono Triggers, like that is so appealing to me. And every time I see an art style like that, I'm like, I'm drawn towards it. So I do think it is an exposure thing, like you're saying. But yeah, I mean, there's the emotional resonance of like when you see a character that looks like a human potentially get killed or potentially have something bad happen to them. Like it does hit you differently than, and that's just reality, right? Like if you see in a cartoon something bad happen,
Yeah.
unless you're so invested, it's going to take a little bit more because not to spoil anything with Expedition 33, but big moments happen quickly in that game and it is
Yeah.
immediate gut punches. And I think there is the visceral reaction of seeing bad things happen to humans that it is like an instantaneous connection that it hurts.
It's very, very difficult to express emotion in an anime art style, like Persona and stuff like that, when it's the visual novel things that pop up and stuff like that. Like you can have the most gut-wrenching text on the screen, but you as the player need to perceive that a lot of the time and apply that into your own feelings and stuff like that. Whereas with when something looks human and looks realistic and stuff like that, it aids to that. It's why you saw The Last of Us do what it did in its opening hour. If they didn't look realistic, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as impactful. It would
Right.
have still been impactful, of course, but it wouldn't have been the phenomenon that it went on to become.
Right. Well, imagine like Jack and Daxter. If something like that happened in Jack and Daxter, their previous IP, it's like no
Exactly.
one, no. I
Like
mean,
you'd be like, "Oh man," or sad, but it wouldn't hit you to that next level tier of emotion.
mhm,
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
that is why it's best narrative for me.
No, and that's a totally valid selection, and it's one that I'm looking at on my list as well as when I'm trying to think. Once again, I am a underprepared fucking moron here. As I go into best narrative, I have like, I guess I'll go ahead and just shout out the games that I have sitting right here, and I'll talk through this again. I have Silly Polly Beast, I have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I have Dispatch, I have Mafia the Old Country, I have The Outer Worlds 2, and I have Expedition 33 in the running for best narrative. So I got a lot to go through here. I think that just going through the mental process, I think I eliminate the Outer Worlds too because I think moments define narrative for me, and I think it lacks moments. Um, you know, I there's always these lingering games that just stick with you. And I'm not going to give it best narrative, but Silly Polly Beast, it doesn't make sense that that game hits in the way that it hits. It doesn't make sense that, and to your point, like of talking about the anime influence and the
Mm,
cartoonish characters, like this game had so much working against
yeah.
it. And then when it hit what it hit upon, because I thought about it for best moment as well. That's crazy that this game I thought about for best moment and best narrative, and it's like a 5.5, 6 out of 10 game. Um, it just does some shit narratively, and I don't want to spoil it, especially because I think this would be a style of game that you'd get into. So I definitely don't want to spoil it for you. But like, that game left me in tears, man. Like straight up tears. Yeah, that hit really hard. Best narrative. You know what, man? I think I'm going to go with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for best narrative. And it's a tough year. There's some good stories on offer for 2025, but I think that the thing about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it's kind of the exact same thing with Silly Polly Beast, where it just had so much working against it, and it's not. I don't fucking care about 15th century Bohemia. Like I don't care about medieval. I don't care about any of the shit inherently going on in this game. But despite all of my disinterest, it made me care. It made me interested in Henry and Hans and their journey as a duo of bumbling fuck ups, and like I was enthralled to just see where every single next step would go for this game. And it's not even a game, like I can't sit here and tell you that there's two moments I think of in particular that do definitely stand out as the moments that I will remember forever in games. But I can't really even say it's a game that's loaded like Expedition 33. Like I think off the top of my head, the opening scene, Expedition 33, you can't even say characters' names because it's kind of,
Mm,
you know what I mean? But there's just like, I think of 5+ moments immediately from Expedition 33. I think of similarly, Mafia the Old Country is a game loaded with moments. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is an experience. It's like the entire thing is the experience, and I'll remember my journey as Henry, and I'll remember like the big crucial, like I've talked about it 100 times, the wedding scene, the politicking scene, the pouring the wine, the that shit there. And it is, it's a revenge story as well. Like people shit on revenge stories because it's one of the four pillars for storytelling in modern times, but it's like this is the best.
there's a reason as
Yeah.
well, though. You know, they make for very impactful narratives if you can pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, because I wanted to also throw it as well. I think I've done like 2 to 3 hours of Kingdom Deliverance 2. The thing that we're seeing more and more of now, because Expedition did this and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 did this, it's the human nature that the characters are interacting with. It's not just because, sorry to throw you under the bus, random game that I'm playing as well. King's Bounty 2.
Mm.
Just some generic RPG. They've just got these actors in and they're just reading lines off of a piece of paper.
Yep.
There's no back and forth. There's no, even when they're trying to inject that in any, you can't. when you have these people who are side by side and they've genuinely spent time together and you're doing the experience together, they're in the same room, that there's a reason that that makes it so much more realistic and so much more immersive and stuff like that, because you just have the it's not just you can read lines, but you can also improv a little bit of banter with that person. And that's what happens in Expedition 33. There's human back and forth of talking, teasing, and the same in and the same in Kingdom Come Deliverance too, with Henry and Hans. It's
Yeah.
not just Noble talking to Knight. They genuinely have a back and forth. There's
Yeah.
a very cheeky early thing where like you're having just something as simple as like you're down on your luck, so you need to earn some money, and he's not willing to do laborious work because
Right.
he's a lord. So you have to drag the sack of potatoes back and forth. And you're like, oh yeah, my liege, don't strain yourself too much, will you?
Yeah.
And you're like muttering under your breath, and that is it. That is the big difference of just making things just human and
Yeah.
enjoyable.
And I think to your point, Warhorse and I guess Daniel Vars specifically, or whoever was the main voice behind the idea of no, y'all need to be in studio together recording these
Hmm.
lines. Like that is such a crucial component of the makeup of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that made it so special. Like you can, like you said, they're together in reality. So whenever
Yep.
they're together in game form, it still feels like they're together speaking to
Yep.
one another as a human opposed to reading lines from a script like you said. And it's I think that this game has so much like there I don't like a lot about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I found this game to be fairly fucking monotonous at times and just tedious at times. But whenever like despite that, I'm still like I'm 1000% down to see the entire like I had to see it. It kept me on the edge of my seat until I finished this. I had to finish this game. It
Yep.
constantly compelled me to keep going despite being annoyed by this little mechanic or this weird design choice or it's their second game. And I talked about this in my ranking, so I don't need to keep going on and on. But they got a long, long, long ways to go, man. Second fucking game as a studio together, dude. Whoa, I can't imagine what they got cooked up in the future. The crazy potential, and an excellent story with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So, shout out to it. Best narrative going to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for me, and Expedition 33 for Loon. And now we get to a category. Actually, I think I forgot a category. Uh, our favorite gameplay loop. So we'll kind of, we're gonna move up because I wanted to do best moment and then best moment to moment, as the kind of tie-in for uh for the purpose of wording here. We'll bring these in
Thematicness.
together. Huh?
Thematicness.
Yeah.
Give it thematical.
So Loon, I will go ahead and kick it to you, my friend. This award is pretty much just like what game released in 2025 where the gameplay loop constantly had you being like, shit, yeah, I cannot put this thing down. The most addictive game, your favorite game to just play however you want to build out your best moment to moment, the winner for your best moment to moment gameplay experience.
Uh, All X Pit is
Ah,
what I'll go with. Um, Looking back on it now, there's probably ones that could take its spot, but at the time, like I remember like just not being able to put it down. Just one more run, one more run. It just, yeah, these types of survivor-like esque games that have just blown up, and they're t taking their own spin on it and stuff like that, and just taking even like what we said with Clover pit with slot machines, Balatro with poker. Like this is just pinball, and they've somehow made it completely new, revamped it, and stuff like that. It's like reinventing chess, which is what I'm waiting for them to do next.
Probably will be.
It's insane. Like you think of something like that where it's like a formula of like, yeah, how far, where could you stretch this, and they end up doing it, and it was just yeah, really simple but just really fun, really damn fun. How it puts you in with the pinball when you're doing your build, getting weapons, and it synergizes. So it's pulling from like the Isaac part of my brain for synergies where it combines the balls, creates a new ball doing that. And then when you finish that up, you've gained gold, and then you're building a village, which then to upgrade that village, you're shooting balls and you have to hit them a certain amount of times to upgrade the village. It's just, yeah, just a really good idea concept that they've executed. I don't think you can really go anywhere else with it. You can add more characters and stuff. I don't really know if you could ever get a sequel out of this though. It's kind of just like that thing of like you've tapped it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
but it sold shitloads of copies, right? A million,
oh
I
yeah.
think. Like an absurd amount of copies for what it was.
Yeah, it sold incredibly fucking well. So
Mhm.
I mean, there's going to be many, many more, and I don't even know if it's possible for them to run out of shit. They're gonna keep trying different ping pong roguelike, where we're gonna see.
Dishwashings, roguelike. There we go.
Yeah, we're gonna see a little bit of everything. But hey, it's I'm fine with it. We'll there's a Balacha really clicked with me. There's gonna be some that don't. I didn't play enough of Ball Pit to really have an opinion one way or the other on it. I'd like to maybe check out a little bit more. Um, yeah. So my best moment to moment gameplay experience for 2025. Another one. As I'm looking through my list, I got three that I'm thinking of here. I'm thinking of Ghost of Yotei, Chronos: The New Dawn, or Dying Light: The Beast as my three favorite. Just I can't put this thing down. Love playing the damn game. Um,
Kronos, really?
yeah, I
Damn. Because
why?
that's like a Marmite game. There's some people that really, really don't like how slow that game is in the beginning. You kind
Hmm,
of get into like a groove. Because I think I did like 6 hours. So you finally start to understand what you're meant to do as the player.
yeah,
Whereas in the opening, it's like, man, I'm literally just a fucking walking tin can.
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. Because I enjoyed it. I don't think it would have made my top five personally.
It's one that Chronos is really interesting because it's one that like is so frustrating early on, and you like you said, you are just uh, you're prey. You are a couple hits, you're dead. It's really tough, but I'm such a survival horror sicko. Like I love the Resident Evil gameplay loop so much. I loved the gameplay loop so much of Silent Hill 2 remake last year, and it plays just like that. Um, and then adding in like a slightly more action-packed Dead Space oriented experience on top of it. And then there's a specific boss fight that I just I, man, as I'm thinking about it more, and this is very much just a taste thing, I just, the moment to moment of this style of survival horror game experience, like, I think I am going to. Oh, man, Ghost of Yotei is so fucking addictive to play, though. Like, I really, really struggled putting Ghost of Yotei down. That was one of those games where 6 hours would go by straight, and I'm like, oh my god, it's 3 a.m. What the hell am I doing with my life? I don't know if that quite happened the same way with Chronos. I'm gonna all right.
I will say for Kronos though, it it's an incredible showing from Bloober because this showed that they do have it in them. Because
Yeah.
it was what I was reserving judgment for. Because it's like, yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake's great, but like a lot of that is it's been done for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you've not had to think about the narrative and stuff like that. Yeah, you've probably made changes here and there, but like a lot of the stuff's already been done. So it's kind of like cheat sheeting almost.
Yeah.
This was completely from the ground up. their own stuff. And because what I when I need to go back to it, but like at the end of that 6, 8 hour mark, you do begin to get the feeling like you're becoming a force of nature yourself,
Yeah.
which is so incredibly crucial for me in a survival horror action game like that, where it starts off incredibly brutal and then slowly you become a force of nature in your own right. So I do got to give him like a tip of the hat in that.
Man, I think I am gonna go with Chronos the New Dawn as my favorite gameplay loop because I think um with Ghost of Yotei, I it's more the world design that was so addictive to me about Ghost of Yotei, where I think it's one of the best designed open world games ever. To where like it gives you kind of anything you're looking for out of like, do you want to play it like a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or an Atom Fall where you don't have any quest markers and you just kind of wander around and find interesting shit along your path and have that more meditative style of experience. You can get that out of it. Or you can get
Mm.
the best Assassin's Creed game ever made with fucking quest markers galore and straight to the point, get to the good stuff. And like, depending on the mood that you're currently in, you can play the game that way. And it's just littered with interesting shit, which is so hard to do in a open world where it's feudal Japan, fucking like it's open plains, a lot of nothingness around every corner, but like finding ways to fill that with interesting shit is really tough. But that's a world design. That like if we had favorite open world, I would
Mm.
give it that. It's one of the best open worlds ever created, in my opinion, because it's coming off the back of one of the best open worlds ever created with their other game with Tsushima. So I understand a lot of the work had already been done, but it's just better in terms of the activities, the side content. But for Chronos, it's I mean, it is a thing of like you've been here, you've done it, you've seen it before, but it's just done so damn well in Chronos. And there is something about the difficulty spike with this game where it makes managing your resources so precious, and you are like intentional with everything you do, every move you make, the backtracking, all of that. It is very methodical in its approach, and like difficulty is an asset to the game. Like it does benefit the game for it being as challenging as it is. I do also understand that that is not for everyone. So I get that. And a lot of people do play these survival horror games not to be fucking like they just like run wandering around in a big spooky mansion, and it's like that it's not this game. There's nothing cozy about it. And there is something cozy about a lot of survival horror games, weirdly enough, for a lot of millions and millions of people. Like I get it. Because I agree. I do kind of get the when I'm in Raccoon City Police Department, like, oh shit, this is my little spot, and I love it. You don't get to feel that in Chronos: A New Dawn, not once at all.
No, your soul leaves your body when you miss a shot, and you're like,
Yeah.
I needed that bullet.
Yes.
Which you don't really get that in Resident Evil. I didn't feel that with RE4. I didn't feel that with Village and stuff like that. They
No.
give you just enough resources to get by in Chronos, especially in the other game. And it's just like you got to make them count, otherwise you're gonna be in a hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even have enough resources to get by. Sometimes you're literally just running. You're just running for your fucking life, just hoping to God you find some ammo lying on a crate somewhere. And it's and then charging up the shots, and the fear that ensues with that is like they're getting closer, but you
Yeah.
have to charge up the shot because you're not going to do any damage to these tanks unless you charge up. Yeah, they designed something that is it's very easy to say it's a Resident Evil like, it's a Silent Hill like, it's a Dead Space like, and some combination of the three. But they do have their own little idiosyncrasies and their own design philosophy that makes it. It's got its own thing going here.
It's the most intense I've had from a third person shooter of like the modern era of survival horror.
Yeah,
Like all of the things that they've purposely chosen to do. Your character's slow, your gun charges up, it's very limited on ammo, very tight claustrophobic spaces a lot of the time. Like it's just it. it's really, really not shying away from what it wears on its sleeve, being a survival horror game.
Absolutely. Completely agree, man. It's yeah. I will give it the award for my favorite moment to moment experience of 2025, and I apologize for the abbreviation and all that, guys, but it, how I set this up, if I type too many words, it kind of cuts off on the screen there. So, all right. How about we move on into our next category, which shall be damn, that thing sounds good. Or no, damn, that thing looks good, and then we'll go into damn, that thing sounds good. So, damn, that thing looks good. I wanted to leave this as open ended as humanly possible for this category because I don't think that there really needs to be a I don't think there really needs to be a descriptor or best graphics or best because I don't know if that's necessarily how you feel about the game that you looked at this year and you're like, damn, that thing looks good. It can be for any number of different reasons. But I'm curious to hear what your reasoning is, Loon.
Yeah, this is gonna probably be a surprise. As I said, I'm not gonna give too many things to Expedition. Um, Although that could definitely take it. Yeah, it's actually Avowed.
Mm.
Um, this game, me and it have a love-hate relationship. I love many aspects of it, but it hurt me very much. But there's one thing I can't deny. It's you get into like the opening area of the very beginning when you like shipwreck and everything, and it just
Mm.
looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you've knocked that completely out of the park because it's pulling from Pillars 2 of like because I was disappointed that it didn't go down that dark, gritty route. So it's like,
Mm.
okay, well then make sure that you're making it fucking beautiful to look at. And it did. It was like, okay, this is really nice to look at. And also something that didn't get like enough praise for it, like the draw distance for the
Mm.
game as well was really impressive for what it is.
You're
You
right.
in the very beginning like zone, you can climb to the top of like a lighthouse. Hardly anything is like, do you know when it goes long and it just becomes a flat plate? No, there's like detail everywhere. I'm just like, holy shit, good job, Obsidian. You know, I wouldn't have expected that from you, like of all things. Like that was incredibly ambitious for you to like make the game look that good. Um, so yeah,
It's
that's what I'll go with.
it's interesting that I think we almost, and you can tell me if I'm wrong a little bit on my thought process here, but so my choice is going to be Death Stranding 2.
Mm,
And I almost think that like what you're kind of saying and what I'm thinking right now in a weird way, it's like I don't know if we need to this is it. Like I don't know if we need to continue pushing tech forward. When you look at a game like Avowed, when you look at a game like Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, another one talking about draw distances where I'm looking off in the distance in Yotei, and there's no limits. There's no, I see everything. You've pushed it as far as you could push it, and then But I think the reason I'll shout out Death Stranding 2 ahead of Yotei, and another one that I had on here was By Sweet Carol, just in terms of just artistic direction opposed to visual
mm,
fidelity. But I think that's why I want to shout out Death Stranding 2 of the combination of the art direction and the visual fidelity. Like it's hard to do both so well, and it just does an excellent job with both. And the creature design and everything that you're seeing on the screen right now is just it's remarkable. It's a remarkable technical achievement that I think might be number one period, like ever in the history of ever. This might be the greatest like holy shit visual treat that we've ever gotten in the game space. And it's for a game I don't like, which bums me out, but I gotta respect the this thing looks unbelievable. So yeah, shout out to Death Stranding 2, shout out to Avowed, the winners of Damn That Thing Looks Good for the Loon and
yep,
Brandon Awards.
absolutely.
All right. So we then move into Damn That Thing Sounds Good. A pretty natural continuation there. And it's exactly the same premise. You can, however you build it is how you build it. Whatever you thought sounded fucking good this year, soundtrack, sound design, whatever just spoke to you personally.
Yeah, because this was one where I actually did write down two because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure. Because when we got around to it, if you were going to go like a certain way, but you've just left it wide open. So I will shout out the other one, but I have a much stronger love for the one I'd actually like to put forward. But second place would be Chronos for its sound design. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that got anywhere near the amount of love that it deserved. It has incredible, like meaty, chunky sounds, which if you're in a survival horror game and you hit something with force and there is no feedback, that is so, it takes me out
Yep.
instantly. But like everything about that sound design, you hit them with a fully charged attack, chunks fly out of them, they recoil back. The sound design is just perfect, and the atmosphere of the sound design in Chronos is just phenomenal.
The creature sounds, yeah,
Yeah.
the game's sound design
It's
is very
so
underrated.
unsettling when you're going through because like you're trying to work out what the hell's going on as well. This world is like okay, it's clearly Earth in some way, but it's not. It feels foreign. But yeah.
I think that game does a really good job as well of like, in the old tank-based survival horror games when the fixed camera, you can't see what's around the corner but you can hear it. Chronos
Mm,
does a really good job of blocking off rooms so you can't see what's in the room but you can hear it, and it's kind of,
yep,
yeah.
yep. But the one that I'll give the tip of the hat to is Expedition 33.
Yeah.
Um, I loved again the importance on making things feel impactful when you do the parries and stuff like that. It was very, very damn good. But just the soundtrack alone, like I I really, really, really love music in games. It's very, very important. It's very rare for me to like an entire soundtrack. There's not one dud of a song on that entire soundtrack.
Mm-mm.
They will have a very specific place in the game and importance as to why it's there and what it's setting out to achieve, and it nails it. And it's just,
Fucking
yeah, absolutely
Minoko,
outstanding.
the final
Yeah, the
fight.
Minoko vibe, you can't say the damn names of the characters. The specific character named song
Yeah.
that isn't Minoko, that's tied like it's just yeah. The finale of the boss fights theme, the opening as well when that happens with
Yeah.
the opening and it ties into that song. There's not a moment that goes by where it doesn't feel perfectly crafted. There's certain games where like something will happen and then they'll maybe miss like they'll put a song there. It's like it's not like a perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
Or a game will come out and do it and only do it once or twice in the entire game. Whereas this was every single moment it felt like that had any importance had the perfect soundtrack to it. It's just astonishing.
Those damn guitar riffs, the orchestral big, the build up the crescendo and then it goes into the wailing on the guitar. It's just nasty. They got some nasty, nasty shit going on with that soundtrack over there. Um, all right.
And it was just they found him on a message board, right? Or something. Is how
Yeah.
they picked him up.
Yeah, I think
He was
through
like
Reddit or some shit.
he's like, I make music. Do you want to give it a go? It's like, dude.
That game. I mean, so much of that game is astonishing for like how they really got together to figure out how to make a game, which is
Mm.
that's a funny part of the story as well. Is like they had to figure out how to make a game. I
Yeah,
mean
they were
that.
looking up YouTube tutorials and stuff, and
Yeah,
it's just like, but that just shows you passion will always triumph in the end. If you have enough passion, you can do it.
absolutely. Um, and I guess staying right there. Speaking of passion, and you hearing that passion come through in the soundtrack, I'm going to award South of Midnight for damn that thing sounds good. As I don't really like, I'm not somebody who remembers names of songs, but it's impossible to forget it because the names of these songs are like based on the characters, and the entire song was created around the character that it's trying to represent, and trying to, highlight actual personality traits, and it's more of a, like, it's doing so much character work outside of just being an epic score, which is, like, we get great scores all the time that it really push forward and make moments stand out so much more because of the music backing the moment. But I you don't often hear soundtracks that are the sole purpose, not the sole purpose, but a chunk of the purpose being in an attempt to elevate characters. And this just does it so well. And then, thinking of Two Toed Tom, and then fucking Benji's song, and like it's this, it's a score that I'll never forget. I'll never forget these I mean, multiple different songs that play throughout South of Midnight. I think it's one of, if not the best soundtrack I've ever heard in a video game, period. And yeah, it's just, it's crazy to me. Was it nominated for best score in music? It had to have been, right?
Oh, I can't remember. I know it won one award for
Okay.
something, didn't it?
I think so. I actually don't know if it was nominated for best score in music, because I remember feeling at the time, I was like, how in the fuck is that not in best score in music? Because
Let's quickly have a look.
for me personally, man, I do think it is one of the best soundtracks ever, where it has the Disney sort of thing going on, but then the subject matter, the lines, the lyrics are much, much darker and ominous than you would expect based on the, visual presentation, or even the delivery of the line. But if you actually read and listen to what's being said, it's often pretty fucking dark for a lot of the songs.
No, it was Claire, Hollow Knight, Yote, Death Stranding 2, and Hades 2.
That's fucking crazy. It's crazy. I can understand Expedition 33 winning over it, but not getting nominated is insane to me. I think anybody who played this game will come to a similar conclusion, because I'm not even saying it's a great game. It's not a great game, but it has an all-time great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
So, finishing off with Damn, that thing sounds good. Loon is giving it to Expedition 33. I am giving it to South of Midnight. And then we head into Best PlayStation 2 Game. And this was voted on by the Patreon supporters and YouTube members for a category to add to the award shows. So it's presented to you by
You.
but
That's a much better player's voice nomination than a certain other award show.
yeah, Withering Waves, whatever the fuck. Yeah, best PS2 game. I don't really know how to. I think of this as like, if it would have come out in 2005 or 2004, would it have hit hard on the PS2? And there's just an energy to PS2 game where, like, some of these games aren't possible for PS. Honestly, South of
Yeah.
Midnight's a great example of a game that would have hit hard as fuck on the PS2. Probably much harder than it hit in this generation.
Yeah.
But then you have something like a Death Stranding 2, where it's like, obviously that's not a fucking best PS2 game. If that came out on the PS2, it would look like shit, run like shit. It wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Nobody had the tolerance or patience for a game like that in the PS2 era. Yeah. What do you think of when you think of best PS2 game of 2025?
I'm not gonna lie. Um, I struggled. I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I was like, because I came to the same thing. It was like, I can't say that because that wouldn't have been able to be possible. Because it's like you could name any of these big games and be like, yeah. And then I landed on, and I hope I've not screwed this up. I think it came out this year. I'm 99% sure it came out this year. Mandragora,
Oh,
Whispers of the
yeah.
Witch Tree. And I was like, oh, that's perfect because that is like it oozes Castlevania Symphony of the Night in many of its aspects, but it's much more open. So I think if like somebody would have taken a crack at that, so like the Salt, what happened with Salt and Sanctuary, it's very similar to that. Um, and it's not like a really demanding art style either. Like it's very stylized. That obviously wouldn't have looked as good, but they could have like trimmed that down and made it work. It's a really underrated gem. Nobody's really talked about it at all this whole year. Um, it has really snappy combat for being like a 2D Metroidvania. What I was kind of surprised at as well, the voice acting's really damn good. Like really damn good. It had a cool little like cinematic opening as well. Yeah, it's one. I think I put like 20 hours into it. I still didn't
Holy
finish it.
shit.
I need to go back and do it. I was. It's just a game that just unravels and unravels and unravels, and it's like it's the classic Metroidvania thing where like you unlock a new ability, so you go back to the previous area because you see the little tile where it's like, yeah, you couldn't access that, dummy. You're not good enough yet. So you go back and then you get an entirely brand new area. Just an insane game. Insanely good value for what it was.
Yeah. I I completely forgot about this title. Um I think for mine, I am going. This is another one I have. All of them the same exact problem where I jotted down like 74 different things. For mine, I think I'm gonna go with Captain Blood, a game that was quite literally
Mm.
being developed in the PS2 era and has been in development hell for fucking ever, um, and then just kind of randomly out of nowhere released in 2025, and it didn't seem like it got much love, but it is straight up God of War, PS2 era God of War, full stop. Everything you love and hate. The QTEs are plentiful. The it's campy. It's silly. It's got just a tone about it that feels right at home in 2005. So 20 years ago, this would have been a classic, and it comes out in 2025, and it's like it's solid. It's just one of those things where when I'm thinking about this award for best PS2 game, I'm also thinking about my how fucking times have changed in 20
Mm.
years. Where like what is accepted as like the standard, it's definitely we are in different times, man. Because like I don't even know, can you make games like this in 2025? I don't know if that's. I don't know how well it worked out for them. I hope that they saw some decent returns on it with people buying it. But like, I just
I
don't think.
entirely doubt it, unfortunately. I don't, it's the type of thing like I don't think you can put your chips in on it. You
Hmm.
can make it on like a lean budget and maybe there's like a small project. But I don't think, for instance, you could do like a Larian thing and make it your whole DNA and identity. I don't think it would. People just don't play these games anymore.
Yeah,
They don't make them. It's the genre itself has moved on to what DMC is, what Ninja Gaiden 4 is, and stuff like that. Like it's that, unfortunately, is
yeah.
what's been changed into.
And it's interesting to see something like this given a little bit of a budget, and like it's got some production
Mm.
value too. Like it does it everything about it feels straight up PlayStation 2. And yeah, I do think if this came out in 2005, it would have been, well, probably not 2005. That wouldn't have been a great idea. That was the same year. Uh, yeah, that would have been the year God of War 1 release, so it would have got trounced. But if it began development in '03, say it came out in '04, like it would have been heralded as like one of the best games of 2004, and now it's just a, hey, it came out in 2025 along with 5,000 other games that nobody had time to play. But shout out to Captain Blood. I had a pleasant time running through the old Blood. Um,
Mm.
and next up, we have Best Console. we're awarding. So now we kind of get into the territory where we're not really talking much about individual games. We got a couple more that are more about individual games, but I think this is sort of where we get into more of the fun, newsy, just chilling, chatting topics, opposed to trying to describe and to highlight individual games. We're more just kind of shooting the shit and recapping the year that was from this point on. So best console awarded to a console manufacturer who made people want to buy their console in 2025. I don't really know any other way of of describing this one.
Yeah, so I'm going first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna kick things off by saying this. I don't think any of them had particularly bad years. It's been a pretty good year all around. They've excelled and also trodden in dog shit in their own right in different aspects and areas. But overall, you can't say that I'm entirely biased. I don't think it can be anything but the Switch 2.
Yep.
If I'm being 100% honest, like Xbox had a strong year in doing something. PlayStation also had a strong year, but like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, it's selling quicker than the original, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I that's not the end all be all of metrics, but it kind of is,
Yep.
at the same time. When you come off of the success of what that was groundbreaking to the point where it's like, okay, well, they can't possibly top that, and it looks like they are going to. That's insane. That's
Yeah.
absolutely insane, considering also that it was off the hill of the Wii U turning into that, and then this. Like, they've had an insane year for the sales of the console, their games as well. Donkey Kong getting in there, Mario Kart being fairly highly regarded, Metroid not so much, um, but
But
also
still at 80,
something.
damn near.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also want to highlight like the thing Nintendo struggled with the most in its identity since the beginning of time. It feels like is third party balancing that out. Like their first party's always been reliable,
Mm-hmm.
rock solid, you know. But their third party stuff, they've always kind of struggled sometimes of just getting people on board with stuff, and even when they get them on board, doesn't always do well. Dude, the cyberpunk thing, just that partnering up and having that good PR of like it's fully on the game card and everything, it did them wonders. And then you have stuff like Final Fantasy VII Remake coming now, the first part, and just it opens up the door for so many more titles that they would not achievable on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that was the missing component. Like the console was incredible, but it was missing a lot of big name titles. And now like that just seems to be like what the only thing you can really say GTA 6 probably not
Of
coming
course,
to the
yeah.
Switch too. And
No.
that's basically it. Like everything else seems like you could if Cyberpunk can run on it, they've squished that down and worked out a way. Anything else can really get on that, basically.
And even like a Grand Theft Auto 6, maybe years down the line along like a PC release type thing, could it release after PC onto Switch too? You don't really know. And that's the kind of just speaking to your point about the PR, the good PR.
Mm.
CDPR, man, they threw them a bone with that statement of saying it is the best place to play Cyberpunk 2077 handheld. And like that just was such a shot in the arm to further emphasize how powerful this thing really is, where it's like you could make the claim that it is like the most powerful mainstream handheld device on the planet. And like that is that's crazy coming from Nintendo. Um and then of course, like you said, the software on offer. You have your along with Bonanza and Mario Kart and Metroid Prime, you have Hades 2 that is still
Mm.
exclusive console, it's still a console exclusive to the Switch too. You had the Hyrule Warriors game. You had Kirby, the Air Riders. Like they just delivered all year with exclusive games and a powerful fucking upgrade to a thing that 100+ million people adored. Like you when the PlayStation 1 is successful, just make a better one and call it the PlayStation 2. When the Switch 1 is successful, make a better one and call it the Switch 2. And this thing's probably on track to, I don't know if it's going to outsell the Switch 1, or I don't know if it'll get on PS2 territory, but it'll probably dip off and fall just below the Switch 1 ultimately, but it's still, regardless, man, it's fucking which I can't say that. What the fuck am I even saying? It's going to depend, like, what do we you got to remember this.
I'll go the other way. I think it will outsell it with the things that are going on right now. Because with them going the weaker route, which is not weak even, but the weaker specs in it, it's gonna weather the storm of the problems that we're seeing arise in the coming years if that doesn't get sorted out with the spec woes of prices and stuff like that. Because they can just, you might see it go up a little bit, but because their price is relatively low compared to everybody else now, they're the cheapest, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They can bump it up 20, 30, 40, 50 and still be the cheapest. And yeah, it won't damage them really at all. So they're fine. They're on track to smashing another generation out of the park.
They are the most software dependent of the three, for sure. So it's really going to come down to, like, what is that next Mario looking like? What is that next Zelda looking like? Those are their two, like, okay, this will push tens of millions of consoles into new players' hands. So we'll see what
they also have the benefit of, they've not flirted with, they've done like mobile games and stuff, but they've not flirted with PC whatsoever.
No.
So there's no, with PlayStation, you have that umming and ahhing of like, what's the game that they said it's coming out for a year? It's upcoming console exclusive, like the action game.
Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah, that's it. It's been like slammed on the bottom console 1 year kind of thing, and that's the kind of thing of like Nintendo aren't in that business of doing that. Like even
Well,
if
Hades
even
2,
if
their third party
no,
stuff
but that's
is
not their first party stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Of like they have that under lock and key of, even if it's bad, you don't have a choice. That's it. You buy that next Pokemon if it sucks. Doesn't matter. It's Pokemon. You're gonna buy it.
mm-hmm.
They have like such fans that are just burning passion for the IP, and that is the only place to play it.
Yeah. And Pokemon is a very specific example for sure. Like it's an interesting fandom of, like, consistently bad games selling tens of millions of copies. But I will say, like, I don't really think their other fan base outside of Pokemon is as, like, I don't think it applies to them as much as it does to the Pokemon fan base, because, like, their other games are genuinely some of the greatest things ever made in the history of humanity. Like, it's fucking crazy that they have been so consistently great with software for so long. Like, it is a very, very creative company coming up with creative new ways of, they definitely double and triple down on the same IP over and over and over again, but they come up with pretty much entirely new concepts and new games inside of those IP consistently, and I got to give them praise for that. And it's, this is you and I showing love to Nintendo, and neither of us are Nintendo guys. It's just objectively, this is the best console.
Yeah, I have no love personally. It's just the thing of, like I said, I'm very much a put your money where your mouth is. I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, the ROG hell.
Of course.
It's yeah. Switch 2, man.
Yep.
Fucking astonishing that it's doing as well as it is.
For sure. It was, so I added in as well the category of best publisher this year. And if I'm being completely honest, I did that because I don't really think it's fair to Xbox to like they're never gonna win best console again.
You throw them a bone.
I, I
Hey,
think
it's their year. They won awards at the Game Awards. PlayStation didn't.
and it's like
It's their year.
I don't really know. I do think it's worthwhile to acknowledge like a publisher who's doing really fucking well as well. Like
Mm,
that's worth acknowledging. Like because I think we have Breakout Studio, which is very
mm,
different than publisher. But
yep.
I mean to be just to go ahead and get it out of the way, like Xbox is the best publisher of 2025. Um, no doubt about it, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could argue Nintendo in there as well, but I just think that the uh,
That's more status quo, like the you expect it from them. The thing what we're seeing now with Xbox is what we've said year after year after year of next year will be their year.
yeah,
Next year. Like they had that whole we're buying this, and this because we need output. We need this. We need to bulk up. And it never really like you had releases that were like very few and far between, and then they had like a period where it was like, yeah, here's free in one go, and it's just like, why didn't you spread that out across like the year to make it a little bit more palatable? But this, it's I think it was like 12 or 14 titles they did under their umbrella. Like it's insane, um, especially for them as well. Like that's insane for any publisher, period. But for them to have struggled with output as being one of their main things that they've struggled with, and they've done what they've done, essentially hitting a monthly basis. But that's crazy because
and
it's like once you've set that snowball rolling, that usually continues rolling. So you can probably expect at least double figures next year and double figures the year after because it's in place now. Unless something goes through development hell, and that happens to 3 or 4 studios, it's probably going to be double figures until something changes.
yeah. And I just think this year in particular was the output was just staggering when you go through the lineup of Ninja Gaiden 4 and Avowed and Outer Worlds, and of course a lot of that is Obsidian, Grounded, and, but then you go into your Dooms, your Oblivion remake, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. You just have a lot on this list. Obviously Black Ops 7, which didn't quite land, but still a monumental fucking release that is going to be one of the best selling games of the year, and it's under their publishing outfit, and they just they published a shit ton of games, and then when you have sure a lot of sevens and eights in there, but then you do have something like The Outer Worlds 2, which is genuinely fucking excellent. You have something like a Doom, Oblivion,
Yeah,
Tony
Doom.
Hawk Pro
Yeah,
Skater 3 and 4,
Doom.
like all of those.
Ninja Gaiden 4 did pretty well for them. I don't know, like review wise, but like maybe diehard fans didn't like it as much as they probably would have liked. But incredible game. I did want to shout out one more, and I don't know if this is going to anger people. People don't really like this company, but like I said, the money where your mouth is. Dude, Konami this year.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Like you can sit there and shit on them for all their incompetence for all the years prior. It was what Suikoden, Eden Zero, Deliver at All Costs was published under them. Metal Gear, Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill F. But there's probably more, but that's six off the top of my head. That's for a games company that was allergic to success for so
Yeah.
long. Dude, 6 games just out of nowhere because they've just been absent for so long as well. They've just put out something here and there. That's a really good year for Konami, and it's like, all right, let's see what you got.
Without a doubt, dude.
So
And I
I want
mean,
to tip my hat to them.
Delivered All Cost, like a new IP in that bunch, really sets it off for me. Where I thought about them, I also thought about Kepler Interactive with Expedition 33 Rematch and
Mm,
Bionic Bay as like a real contender. I know it doesn't necessarily have the same output, but in terms of quality, man, those are three bangers for
yeah,
2025.
And a further tip to that is that you can see the money they've garnered, and they've dominated the announcements of the Game Awards as well. Of like, let's continue this, let's double down on this streak.
Yep.
I can't even remember how many times Kepler's name showed up. It's like four or five, even
Well,
more. It's
and
crazy.
it's interesting too that this isn't even the E33 money yet. This is pre E33 money because you got to imagine that these deals for the games that were just shown off were struck probably 2 years
Mhm.
ago for a lot of them. So they're just about to release. So they've probably been gestating and curating their kind of lineup for 2026 for a couple years. And so now we're heading into the 2026 announcements are going to be funded by E33 money.
Yeah, it feels like they're a new Devolver of just a name that you can expect to see probably good things come from quite a lot.
Brother, I think they might be different. I think that this might be like a new behemoth emerging. I think we'll see. It's going to depend on where they prioritize their resources, but Expedition 33 is selling like did you see the Game Awards spike that it got where it
Yeah,
sold
they
like
got 200,000 off it
yeah,
alone.
that's crazy. 200,000 copies from one event essentially. That's that's moving units. Um all right. Now we go into Breakout Studio. Were you giving yours to Xbox or Konami?
I was giving it to Xbox, but I wanted to
Okay,
shout out Konami
got you. Um,
because I do have a soft spot for Konami. I don't have like a generational hatred like a lot of people do to them.
no, God, no. I want Konami to
I
be
think
great.
they're incredibly stupid. They're very, very dumb. But hey, man, so are a lot of developers and publishers.
What do you got for Breakout Studio? Who is the studio you look at this year as like, oh, it's their time?
It's a handful.
Mm.
It's so boring of a pick, but it's the thing of like I I could feel because we this is the difference as well is that we highlighted the game last year, right?
Hmm.
Expedition 33, it was one of our anticipated things. We were talking about it. So we knew of its existence, but we there was no way you could predict it was going to do what it did. And you're talking like a lot of people are experiencing them in a way where it's like Larian. But Larian had games before that. This is new. So yeah, they have to be breakout studio not only for the success, but they the big thing that people are like overlooking. It's been highlighted, but I think what people aren't paying. They were invited to Square Enix for Christ's sake.
Wow.
Like they've talked to them. Square clearly are like, okay, we have a very, very, very strong respect for you to do that because they didn't have to do that. So I expect quite a lot of inspiration to be struck from a lot of devs and Square Enix from them, which is great to hear and see.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Square cook up in that kind of space. So yeah, it's a
Mm.
handful for me.
Without a doubt. That would probably be mine as well. My list was Sandfall, Ad Hoc, and Fallen Tree. Fallen Tree is the guys behind the Precinct, which I think is a huge breakout title for them this year. I think it cracked like over 10,000 concurrent players, and American Fugitive was like at 500 or some shit. Like that's a huge, huge level up for that team. But I think I'm going to go with Ad Hoc just to spice it up a bit here. Sandfall is definitely the answer, but I think that the answer to the choose your own adventure genre was provided to us this year. Like, how can we continue making games in this space and have them remain viable and not bankrupt our entire studio by chasing the photorealism and like having a just full blown animated cartoon where you get to make choices and then like that was a very very wise decision for the animation style to keep the budget relatively reasonable.
I I think that's the missing piece. The worry I have for this is that people are going to look because you see when they look at something successful and like, how can we ape that? I hope the takeaway isn't, oh, episodic games are back, because there's still an extremely dangerous way to make a game. It needs to have the hype that did to be that successful. And very few episodic games still have that hype coming to the final episode. You need to make sure it's quick in its release.
Yup.
And I think the big missing piece is that it was an animated thing. It makes it feel like a TV show. I think that was the draw factor, and obviously the quality and the writing and stuff like that. But it felt like you were playing, say, a season of Invincible and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, hopefully they don't just be like, oh well, episodic games. That's what we need to start doing again, and then try and go down that rabbit hole
Well,
because it's
yeah,
so difficult to pull off.
I think the brilliance there was the game was finished, and like,
Yes, that's the big. Yeah, that's what you need to do. You can't be. That's what I was saying with the quick bang, 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 week, done. Not
mhm,
come back in 2 months' time. Come back in 2 months' time with what Hitman did and stuff like that. It's like no wonder your game struggled. Like this, if you just released it all in one, people would have been happy. Or
yeah.
if you released it on like a weekly basis, people would have been like making people wait months for episodes. That's insanity.
And I actually think the weekly rollout was really, really intelligent in the sense of like, okay, let's in a year like 2025 where there are 7,000 different games vying for your attention at all times, and even something like Expedition 33 struggles to remain like the topic of conversation for more than a month, nothing will. Like Ghost of Yotei came out and people talked about it for a week and then it was gone. Fucking every single game, big game that came out this year, Donkey Kong, fucking name it. Other than Expedite Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was the talk of the town for about a week and then conversation completely moved on. Even multiplayer, Arc Raiders rematch. But this remained relevant for a month. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people are listening to this and they're like, man, back in the PlayStation 2 when God of War came out, it was the talk of the town for the entire
Yeah,
year.
Skyrim dominated an entire year and just didn't die. Yeah, it's completely different now. And that's the thing, is that it was so intelligently rolled out because you drop the episode, they're not long, so people finish it, and then they get online and then talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, and then they anticipate that next episode drop. And it's like a community thing.
Exactly.
They're collectively waiting for that next episode. The next episode drops, and then you're rinsing and repeating that. It was yeah, whoever designed the rollout for that game, the marketing and stuff like that needs a fucking raise.
Yep.
It was immaculately done.
I certainly agree, man. That is, yeah, that's why I'm going to give Ad Hog Breakout Studio. I think that they, in
Mm.
the same way Sandfall, I think in a lot of ways was so influential to the future of turn-based games. I think Ad Hog is equally influential to the future of like adventure games. So good shout outs on both ends because I do think that you're going to see the impact for years and years to come from both of these breakout studios who both are
UB
Ubisoft.
Bones.
Yeah. The both founders are people who left Ubisoft to found these new companies to create games that they never could have got the green light on at Ubisoft, unfortunately. But from breakout studio to breakout genre, this is one of my favorite awards we give out because it's a kind of deep dive look into the year of like what is the thing taking off that people need to be on the lookout for. Loon, what is the genre taking off that you saw start to percolate in 2025 that you're like, oh boy, here it comes?
I don't like it, but it's here and it's here to stay by the looks of it. It's extraction shooters, man.
Yup.
Um, and I say this because I've been dabbling in Battlefield 6, but like I think my days of being competitive, like very competitive, are long over.
Yup.
I just don't care anymore. Um, but you see some stuff like Arc Raiders, and you know that the reason I'm giving this breakout genre because everybody was absolutely shitting on Marathon before Arc Raiders came out. And now that Arc Raiders has been incredibly successful, people are like, hmm,
Good point.
maybe because it's in the same price point range. it's an extraction shooter. Maybe they could pull it off. It's from Bungie, so maybe they could. And it's kind of like them choosing to not release it is probably the smartest decision that they did. Obviously, controversy aside for all that stuff, stupid stuff that they did with the art stuff. But this this has given them a chance because it's fresh in people's minds that extraction shooters can be fun. So if they can sit there and study that over the next few months, because I don't, when's it releasing? March,
I believe so, yes.
early year. That's enough time to kind of look at what Art Creators has done because it's still red hot and be like, okay, we need to like make a roadmap like that. We need to respond to the community in this way. We need to be doing this, so that they don't just release it and then are like, yeah, you got to wait 3 months for us to fix basic shit.
Yeah.
So
That is probably the answer for this. It's one that I had jotted down as well. I will take a different angle on it though, and I will give my breakout genre to the scrolls like. Um I think that what you saw with Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, and Adamfall, which I guess Adamfall you can maybe say is a stalker like whatever. You get what I'm saying. First person role playing games, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, things that are taking inspiration from a BGS style of experience from the mid 2000s. Like you're going to start seeing a lot of that taking shape in the industry as you go into 2026. And I think we have Valor Mortis and Fate Keeper both launching next year that are very much inspired by the Bethesda game studio formula, especially with your Elder Scrolls experience. But it's more so just like the first player or the first person role playing game that is being created on a budget, like we talked about earlier. These games that are being developed that never could have happened before 2025. Like there's actually
no, you had stuff like Two Worlds, try to take a crack at it and stuff like that. Every time, like you saw like people clowning GTA clones or COD clones and stuff like that. They came out and they were functional. They just weren't as good. But like, as you've penned the phrase, because I didn't know what you was talking about when you was talking about scrolls likes. But yeah, the that's never really been successful. It's always been very, very janky shit in the nicest possible way when they've taken a crack at it. Whereas this, I can say with certainty, if they made Tainted Grail a spin-off, so they named it Elder Scrolls and it was a spin-off, it wasn't a mainline title. They were like, here's a side project to win you over until people would have been happy. They've been like, cool, I'll take that.
right.
Add a little bit more physics-based stuff to make it a Bethesda game, and they would have eaten that up and been more than happy.
Yeah, it's as we're coming up on Elder Scrolls 6, which I assume will get a trailer next year, you got to wonder it's this it's such Bethesda is in such an interesting spot where like it almost feels like they've been constantly too late. Where 2015 Fallout comes out, Fallout 4 comes out, and The Witcher 3 was right before it. And all the wind left the sails. 2023, Starfield launches. Baldur's Gate 3 is right before it. Takes all the wind out from their sails. And now you're going into Elder Scrolls 6 and you're seeing the emergence of the Scrolls like, and it's like, of course, obviously Tainted Grail is not nearly as detailed as Elder Scrolls 6 is going to
No.
be. Valor Mortis isn't, Fate Keeper isn't, Adamfall isn't, but like it's somewhat close
A
enough.
worthy competitor.
Yeah.
It's worth, and that's crazy to think. Like, just be able to be saying that. What I will say as well, what's interesting is he did an interview, right, Todd, where he was talking about they were really happy with how they shadow dropped Oblivion, and they kind of want to explore that more. So we're hearing nothing about Elder Scrolls 6 really. I wonder, like, is this going to be the first time ever where Xbox is is competent to keep it under jar. Nothing gets leaked, and I don't think this will happen, but just hypothetically, next year they just turn around and go, yeah, in November, and just drop a trailer and just be, yeah, it's out now, and just because that's the thing of like they've left it so long, probably will benefit from a shadow drop. People are so tired of waiting. It'll be a massive slap across the face of like, wake up, here it is. I think they'll do it like really good.
I do have a theory on that, and it's not a fully functional, well thought out theory, but I okay, so we're going into the next generation of consoles, and it's going to be near impossible to sell an Xbox. However, could it be possible? And I understand it's not going to be exclusive. I get it. Get out of the comments before you even type it. But if Elder Scrolls 6, if they say, okay, we're going to launch our Xbox Hybrid One in 2029, 2028, a year before PlayStation 6, whatever,
I think I see
2027.
where this logic's going.
And could it be a situation where it's like, it's not exclusive, it just won't run on a PlayStation 5? And PlayStation, it'll come to PlayStation when the PS6 comes out next year.
Hmm.
Because Oblivion was kind of similar, where it was timed exclusivity and it comes out a year after on PS3. Um, I don't know. I don't think it'll be that. I think what it'll just you'll just get to play a better version on your Xbox and it'll launch
Yeah, I don't
everywhere
think they
day
have
and
the
date.
balls to do that,
Oh,
personally. I think what you could do is leverage it a little bit. So, best place to play. Mod support is crucial for Bethesda games, and something that I think they were meant to up the limit, but they didn't end up doing in the latest update for Fallout 4 with the recent update. Just have it have a massive mod limit for them that isn't available on PlayStation. Because then you're going to get people that really want to experience mods. And that's the thing of like, when you're trying to do console modding, it's so limited because you have such a small cache to be able to pull from. So, and they're ravenous for mods, Bethesda fans.
yeah,
So
the
that
extremely
could be,
hardcore are. I think that when you're talking about trying to sell and yeah, I just got to get out of the old mindset, honestly. Like that's just on me of
I mean,
like
it's kept the game relevant, mods. People aren't playing vanilla Skyrim and vanilla Fallout 4.
but those are people who already like bought the game and
Yeah.
played the like you're not that's not going to be a selling point for what I'm saying is like I'm going all the way back to basics of like I'm thinking in an outdated mindset and I gotta get out of that where it's like how do you sell an Xbox? I gotta quit thinking about it because they're not thinking about it, and so it's
I
like
know, they're just thinking of just they just want the game, so that's why it'll be on PlayStation.
yeah, and so yeah, it's just I don't know. Every now and then I have these theories. And I'm like, fuck, man. If you did that, I even $1,000 system. I think people might because like I'm even thinking about myself. I'm like, shit, dude. Would I wait a year to be able to play Elder Scrolls 6? I don't know. And there's not many games like if you had Grand Theft Auto 6, of course I'd buy $1,000 machine for it. But like other than GTA 6, Elder Scrolls 6, like there's not many games that'll make someone buy $1,000 machine. There's not much of anything that'll make anyone buy $1,000 machine. So it is the game that they could do that with. It would be the fucking wild move. But yeah, I'm thinking like a fucking old ass man. All right. Next up on the docket, we had best trailer. So, Luna, I'm curious to see what you select for your best trailer of 2025.
It was The Expanse, Osiris
Hmm.
Reborn. Um, Solely for the fact that it's Alcat. and it's them doing this is their thing. What Larian's doing with Larian's next step being Baldur's Gate 3. This is what Alcat's big next step is. They've kind of been they've shaken up the formula a little bit with Rogue Trader, but if anything, I would argue that they took a step back and made it a little bit more limited compared to Wrath of the Righteous. But they're very quality driven titles now. And this is the big thing. Like, I want them to take their next step, but you can't be releasing a 1.0 launch where it needs fixing drastically straight away. Like, this needs to be your magnum opus. Push it out, make sure it's absolutely outstanding, and just make that your name is now on that board with Larian. Because there's so many people that are they've fallen in love with Baldur's Gate and stuff like that, and they don't know that there's other games like that because Pillars hasn't done anything. There's a ton of other IPs that are just laying dormant and stuff like that. Shadowfall and Owlcat's not really made of that breakout. It's still very niche. Like they've sold a good amount of copies for what they are, but they're still not like if you was to ask most gaming fans, who's Owlcat? Platformer?
Yeah.
It would be a guessing game. So that would be the thing to put them on the map big time if they can land it.
Yeah, and it's like I just look at this and I obviously it screams Mass Effect. It screams like their inspiration is obvious, and it's the timing is so wild where Exodus is coming out in 2027. This will probably come out in 2027. And we've been absolutely dry for Mass Effect content or any kind of sci-fi big budget RPG for years and years and years. And then two what seem to be epics are going to be fighting it out likely in 2027, or maybe Owlcat with The Expanse comes out in 2028. But like these are absolutely massive AAA blockbuster RPGs. This is a humongous leap forward for Owlcat to push themselves into like mainstream relevance if it hits. And it looks damn good. And it also, there's something a lot more appealing about this art style to me. And I obviously this is CG, but they have shown like clips of in-engine footage, and like they're going for a much more realistic look than
Exodus.
Exodus. Yeah.
Mm.
And then
Yeah,
it's like,
because it runs the benefit though of they're pulling from an IP. It always helps that they don't have to think of a lot because that's the TV show, right? The Expanse.
yeah. But you
So
had the
they're
cartoonish
able to,
Expanse with Telltale.
yeah. So they have like a really cool foundation to be able to pull from, so they can just focus on the goodness rather than thinking up different cool aliens all by themselves.
All right. I will go with for my trailer of the year. Man, fucking A. I hate to be boring, but I mean, I think the best trailer of the year is probably GTA 6 trailer 2. Um, it you know what, actually? I'm going to give it to Clockwork Revolution from the Xbox showcase earlier this year. That big
That
meaty.
was a slapper.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. 5 minutes and 30 seconds this trailer ran. And it was just packed to the brim, full of story details, full of combat information, full of world building. Like, it showed you so much about this game. And I think it's probably going to drop in 2026. And I think it's a legitimate game of the year contender. And Exile obviously makes excellent in-depth role-playing games. And now it's kind of the same thing we talked about with Owlcat, like a real big
Yeah.
break to the mainstream.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's very like thematic of tying them together because that's Owlcat's really like big project breaking out. In Exile's done incredible work, but like again, it's kind of in that bubbled ecosystem of like if you're a fan of them and you know who they are, you love their work. But a lot of people are completely unaware that they even make that game if they're even aware of that game's existence.
Yeah, and it's so confined to the PC space, right? Like these are it's computer role playing games like that. That's the name is that for a reason, and
Hmm.
people in the console ecosystem typically don't really engage with like a Wasteland or a a Divinity or whatever the case may be. Like they're selling the vast majority of their copies on PC, and then something like this comes along with the PC sensibility, and hopefully the same thing with the Expanse game, the PC, the computer role playing game sensibility, but with the console role playing game appeal with the perspective and the gameplay stylings. And yeah, man, I just cannot wait to see more of this fucking thing. Cannot wait to jump in and check it out. I'm pretty sure it'll release in 2026. I mean, we've seen so much of it at this point. I'd be stunned if it doesn't come out next year.
I think it'll be an early drop.
Yeah, because Xbox has their partner or their developer direct in January, and you got to be thinking they already said Playground was going to be there, so that means at least Forza will be there. Hopefully Fable as well. And then you go into like they usually have what 6 games that they show each year and one surprise.
Yeah.
So maybe is the surprise Clockwork Revolution March, Clockwork Revolution
No,
February.
I think that it'll be one of the ones that is like shown so you know it's going to be there, and I think it will be definitely an early release thing. What'd be crazy is if they'd land that early, February, March, and then Forza you assume is coming out.
Mm,
Um, it's whether or not they can push Fable in between them two. I think that would be incredible.
yeah.
Even if they just landed them 3 games, which I'm sure they're going to add more because of their output of the snowball has begun rolling, but just that's what the aim should be, in my opinion. Get them 3 out. Because Fable's been in the fucking oven for so long.
Yeah, they might just consistently win Best Publisher of the Year every year for fucking ever with this output. Um, yeah, Clockwork Revolution I think is going to have to be. I mean, listen, of course the best trailer of the year is GTA 6 trailer 2, but like in terms of actual substance, we can actually look at Clockwork and be like, all right, this is a game that's going to come out. The GTA 6 trailer 2, that is all in engine, which is fucking crazy to even think about that. But Clockwork Revolution, like there's actual gameplay in depth. I'm gonna give the nod to that. We'll shout out GTA 6 trailer 3 next year for best trailer, if it delivers and if it comes out. Which, anyway, biggest news story for 2025. There were a lot of big news stories that hit in
Oh yeah.
2025, and I I I really whittled it down to three. I want to hear yours first though, because I hope that you take one of mine so I can whittle it down to two.
I mean, there was a lot, but for me, it feels like there's only one because it's insane that it's actually happening. It's Steam's next hardware,
Okay, that was
and
one of my
then
three.
like actually, it would be. I wouldn't have felt this way if it was just the Steam Deck 2, like that successor. But like to instead of banking on that, which would have been a more successful thing, like it would have not sold probably all that much more, but people want an upgrade for it. But to be like, no, let's go and take another stab at this like console space and then see if we can do it ourselves this time fully. Like that's insane. Because it also runs. I'm gonna say this now. Like I would be very, 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 very surprised if a new Half-Life game isn't announced of it because it's the type of thing of like you don't announce software with that handheld thing. You just don't need to. With that device that's going to sit in your living room. So therefore, it's not directly competing with a PlayStation, but it's in that kind of world and realm. So you need to kind of appeal to them customers in some way as to what they're used to. What better way than Half-Life 3?
Yeah.
So I think that's like the double whammy of like them walking back, and you're probably going to get a lot more titles out of them.
You know, I was really hot on this whenever it first hit, and then a lot of I guess pun intended, my Steam kind of cooled off in recent months with the reports of like, yeah, they're not really trying to subsidize anything. They're gonna try to break even on this thing and not take a loss and make it back with software sales through Steam OS and through the Steam storefront. And like that's just not how the console business works. If you're gonna have a successful console, but it's like it's not even really that like, cause I don't give a fuck about your business really. I kind of do because the business directly affects the consumer of your strategy. And in the sense of if you're going to price this at console prices, then that's good for all of us. If you're going to price it at PC prices, then this thing is probably going to peter out and be somewhat in line, if not even less successful than the Steam Deck. But I think the mentality is what is off-putting to me, to where like I don't even know if they're taking this seriously in terms of like, are they gonna release Half-Life? Because
Yeah, I do think so.
my thing
I
is
think they kind of have to.
for what though? I guess that would be my wonder is like,
The big reason to own it and to get console players into the door, because there's no way you'd release Half-Life on PlayStation or Xbox with it. You need that kind of hook factor, don't you? I
I
mean, the hook factor, I guess, could be you can play CS:GO on it and stuff like that, and all these other huge Escape from Tarkov and stuff. Maybe that could be stuff to pull people in, but I do think that is going to be their thing, because to me it wouldn't make sense that you're going down this route and you wouldn't do that. Because if you weren't going to do that, just make a Steam Deck too. There's no reason to go down the hybrid route at all
see,
otherwise.
that's my thought, is that this pretty much is the same thing as a Steam Deck 2. It's just another way for Steam consumers to have access to their library wherever they want it. And if they want to play it in their living room opposed to sitting in their sitting on their desk or sitting in their office chair at their desk playing games, or if they want to
Yeah.
go on the handheld, then they got that. And now if they want to go into the living room, they got that. I don't think they care. And there's something cool about this mentality as well. Like, I don't want to shit on it. I think there is something cool about like not giving a fuck about mainstream relevance at all, and being like, we're not trying to compete with anyone in the console space, where we never have. That's not our motive here. Like, we just want to give our customers a cool thing. But at the same time, then it's like I do look at it the other way and it's like, well, yeah, that's great and all, but you're charging your customers crazy fucking prices because you don't want to subsidize it and then make it back on software like everyone else has been doing for the past fucking 40 years.
The difference is they've built up decades of goodwill as
Everyone
well.
has. PlayStation, Nintendo, it's even more so for PlayStation and Nintendo than Steam.
I don't know about that. I think Steam's got a lot more goodwill.
Than PlayStation and Nintendo?
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind? What do you goodwill? Are you saying, okay? So saying like,
Steam sales, they don't charge you for, what do you call it, online subscriptions of anything.
uh,
They've been happily open borders with everything. They could have been like, no, you can't access your Epic Games stuff and everything. Like
okay, I
they're a
think
hell of a lot more
we're okay. We're
goodwill.
we're we're talking about different things. Then I thought you were talking about like the reason they're not having to do this is saying that like they don't have to make these plays because they have the relevance of a Nintendo, of a PlayStation. Like, I don't think they're
No, they
in.
don't have the relevance in like mainstream appeal, but for the people of the PC market, they'll happily support them because they've looked after them. It's the same way they embrace the Steam Deck, a lot of people.
Yeah, a little people. A few.
Yeah, because you're not going to rush out and get it if you have a PC and stuff like that. It's just if you want that option, and it's the same with this.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying though. Like, going back to point one of like, I was so hot on this thinking that this actually could be a thing. Like, this actually could take off and have some.
No, I don't think it would ever, because the Steam Deck kind of proved that. Because you look at like Nintendo Switch and you'd apply that logic to it that surely this could also take off, even if like it's 5, 10, 15% of that. But it's just not. They don't work like that. They look after their little ecosystem of people, and that's that.
Yeah, and then charge them crazy prices for. We'll see what this price ends up being.
But that's the thing. That's the balancing act, isn't it? Is they're charging them crazy prices for the hardware, but they charge you jack shit for the software that you're buying on their storefront. It's so unbelievably dirt cheap for 99% of the stuff. You can buy keys off the internet for even like day one games for 30, 40% off. Like they just look after their consumers in that way because they could block that. They wanted to and be like, no, only get it through our stuff. That's the difference of goodwill in that way.
Yeah, I mean they definitely they do have a uh very supportive fan base in the PC space for sure, and it's the dominant uh platform on PC without a doubt. Uh, I guess my thing is like I absolutely had this. It's on my three for biggest news story, but the more and more I learned about it, the more I was just like, oh, this is going to be about as relevant, if not even less relevant than the Steam Deck. And I kind of wish they would make a bigger splash, but at the same time, like I do respect it is a fucking private company. They don't. It's a totally different ballgame. Like getting on store shelves, it is a totally different ball game, and I respect that they're doing their own thing and they're cool with their.
Yeah, they'd lose their identity if they did that. Because then they would just be like everybody else. That's what sets them apart. They're like, it's like you said, it's refreshing that they don't give a shit about what anybody else is doing, and that's a detriment to them growing in certain aspects of their business. But it's not like they're struggling either.
Oh no,
They just
they're.
have that luxury. Like Gabe, he's it's going to be catastrophic when he goes or he steps down. It's just going to be a power vacuum. I'll be very surprised if it is a clean transition into someone else who thinks the way that he thinks. It's going to be a lot. I'm going to assume vultures swooping overhead to be like, that is a gold mine ready to be picked. Because you'll have people with that mindset of like, all right, let's start doing this and then we'll branch out into this and get this into this. Yeah. I
Yeah,
kind of like that they do their own thing. It's just nice to have different ways that people execute their plans.
definitely. It would just be nice to have this thing, and we don't know the price yet, but if this thing is like a $600 $700 or less device, then it's like fuck yeah, that would be wonderful. I think it could, and maybe I'm jumping the gun based on just assumption too much already, but like when I heard the thing of like, oh, it's going to be about the same as think more in the PC space than the console space for the price, I'm like, okay, well, this thing's DOA. Not DOA in terms of like it's just not going to break through at all in the way that I kind of hoped that it would. It'll. I think I said I expected it would peak at like 15 million or something like that, and I doubt it's going to get anything close to that if we're talking $1,000 price points when they're launching this thing. So that was my two that were at the top of my list. Is I think number one's fairly easy for me. It's either the 10 cent thing with Ubisoft or the Saudi Arabia thing with EA, and I think it's the Saudi Arabia thing with EA. EA getting bought out by Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest video game publishers in I fucking ever, is
Mm-hmm.
now a privately owned company, a publicly traded company for decades, and is now privately owned by the Saudi Arabian government, which is like what a story to break in 2025. I This was not on my bingo card list of things that would happen in 2025. I was pretty sure Ubisoft was going to get bought out by Tencent, but I never expected EA to get bought out by the
Yeah, I'll
Saudi
say
Arabian
I
government.
didn't expect EA. You could definitely feel that they wanted in because it was they threw money at Embracer originally and then withdrew it.
Yep.
Like they were gonna invest heavily and then pulled back. They have been very aggressive in pursuing ways of making money elsewhere. I think they're kind of getting a little bit worried about obviously electric cars. Their big money making thing is oil.
Yep.
So they need to find something else because there's, not to be disrespectful, there's not really anything else they offer. It's not like it's a country that can develop food, like agriculture, and like it's a very, very tough thing. So it doesn't. I kind of felt like they were going to grab somebody because China was beginning to get their hands in it, and you'd be very stupid to not try and grab somebody with that kind of money. And EA, I have to say, it is surprising of all of them that EA was the one that they landed with. But at the same time, my assumption is because I think they did a FIFA World Cup thing in Qatar and stuff like that. I think that's probably where the ball began rolling with talking to them because EA was making FIFA at the time. They invested a shitload of money into making stuff for that. So I'm assuming they're like, how open are you to investment and stuff like that? And that's probably where it began. It was a few years back,
Yeah.
and that's where you are now. It's it's kind of when you look back at it in hindsight, it's like, that is kind of a little bit obvious, I suppose. But yeah, crazy nonetheless.
Yeah, I'd never in a million years, because obviously when the Embracer thing fell through, like, you're talking about operating at a
That shows
totally,
you how bad their books are. That they
yeah,
didn't want nothing to do with them because they've thrown money at with their footballing league
they're
like
overpaying for everything.
absurd. That they'll grab a 35-year-old star who's coming to the end of his career and be like, here's £1 million a week because we know that your name will sell jerseys and stuff like that.
Mm, yeah,
Like that shows you how terrible Embracer was back then. That they were like, nope, we're
yeah,
good.
they're overpaying for everything, and they overpaid significantly for the EA deal as well. But it's
Let's
just,
make that back.
it's just I don't think I would have ever saw EA as successful as EA is, and not really in need of a buyout like this to, yeah, but the price was right. And I think the implications, the long-term implications, are the thing that makes this the, because you have some other stories in here, obviously the Tencent Ubisoft thing that has long-term implications that we'll probably see pretty soon. Microsoft making the deep cuts with Perfect Dark, the Initiative, the MMO, the Blackbird from Elder Scrolls Online, Contraband getting canceled, Turn 10 with the mass layoffs. Close to 2,000 developers were laid off with that one round of cuts. I think making it the largest round of layoffs in video game history. Like, there's definitely a lot of stuff that took place. The $80 game thing, that was fucking crazy. That was a humongous uh, attempt at pivoting into a more expensive market for premium software, and it didn't land. And I think that kind of makes it eligible to be one of the bigger stories of the year, where it's like, when can you ever remember a price reduction after it was officially announced and available at retailers for a specific price, and then the price getting cut not by the retailer but by the company providing the product? Like, sure, prices get cut at the retailer all the time, but not the company providing the product cutting the price before the product launches.
Mhm.
Like, that was crazy with the Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4 and all of that. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different news stories, but I just think that there's something about that EA Saudi Arabia fucking takeover that is like, wow, man, we're completely out now. There's nothing left. There's not another big publisher left that is,
Yeah, they've all been grabbed up, right? They're
yeah,
all owned by somebody. It's all been taken. Which was, I'm gonna be 100%. I'm surprised it took this long, if I'm being honest, with how it had been growing and stuff like that. It's you think about like Hollywood and everything, how it has a death grip on things like that. It was kind of weird it took this long for gaming, considering that's already established. You can already see how entertainment media works, you usually have huge monopolies or semi-monopolies of things like Disney owns shitloads of stuff, Paramount owns shitloads of stuff, and kind of like that. So having as many publishers be self-standing and stuff like that was kind of strange, and that's kind of what set it apart. And now we're in a completely different era of gaming, and the next 10 years is going to be interesting to see how impactful that is. Are they going to be hands off, or are they going to be hands on? That's the two big things. Is do you just can you see that it's making money and just leave it alone? So you just own it and you just take your cut? Or are you going to try and spice things up yourself and run the risk of pissing people off big time?
Yeah, I would imagine that things will pretty much remain as is for a while, but there's undoubtedly going to be it's every time it fucking happens. It's the
Mm.
thing where you tell the studio, we want you to continue making games as you've made them for decades in the past, and then you gobble them up, consolidation, and then, oh, well, we're investing this money in AI, so we're cutting this studio. It's like, yeah, corporations are going to corporate. That's what they do.
Yep.
So my big news story of the year is going to go to EA getting gobbled up by the Saudi Arabia private investment fund, private equity fund, whatever they called it. Yeah. So now we head on to our favorite or least favorite trend, or our favorite and least favorite trend for video games in 2025. So one favorite, one least favorite trend for games in 2025. What you got, Lou?
Unpopular one for you. I don't think you like this. But Xbox opening up borders. Um, I'm very, very happy with that. I like the stuff that they've done with the ROG. It still needs a little bit of work. Um, but I think I spoke about this last time we spoke about it. Like their update rollout has been really rapid. Like they mean business with overhauling Windows to actually make it viable for gaming. It's kind of crazy. Every like other week, it feels like you're clicking check for updates, and there's a fucking wall of updates rolling on in. Um, and making sure that because they've taken should have been done, so there shouldn't be a pat on the back, but it is the Steam Deck verification thing where it's like Steam Deck verified. They've been doing that for the ROG, um, which is really nice to see when you click on a game and it's like, here's all the things that work with it, here's the things that could possibly not work with it, and stuff like that. So I'm very, very happy with the way they're handling it. Play Anywhere support's also been going through the roof. The amount of games that have been fucking rolling out for that is crazy. They should have probably been doing that earlier to build it up, but I guess they were just waiting until they had both ecosystems out there to be working on. So yeah.
And I'm not anti any of this stuff at all. I don't mind, if a company decides to stop making exclusive games or whatever like that. I think that I'm always just talking about it from the business standpoint of things. Like whenever I'm saying that, well, are you're not going to sell systems without software? That's just 40 years of data suggesting that it's never been
Mhm.
done before. It's not like, I don't. If that's not the priority that you want to take, then I can't. I can't make you take that as your objective. I can't, and I can't even say that it's
No,
the
then
wrong objective if you're making more money as a publisher.
that's what I was going to say. It's not like they're not making any money. That's the weird thing is that they're making money. It's just not from hardware. It's almost like they're pivoting into what Valve does. They don't give a shit about the amount of things that they're selling because they're the number one storefront on PC and stuff like that. Whereas Xbox is they're going to be muscling for that particular territory, but they'll be putting it on every other console. It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to have success with the storefront. I think that they're just going to be the dominant publisher of the industry, and their software is going to sell
Oh no,
incredibly
I
well.
wasn't saying that their storefront would be dominant. It's their software sells
Hmm.
wherever they put it is what's going to keep them afloat.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I will shout out My favorite trend of 2025, I think I would go with the 40 and $50 big budget games. Like,
Mm.
that is something that we just I can't believe that that's happening so regularly now. We're getting legitimately high level, high quality shit that like you look at something like what was Mafia the Old Country, was that 49.99 I think.
Yep, I
But
believe
then
so. It was a lower price title.
and then you go into like Expedition 33, of course, and just a lot of these titles that are launching and having a lot of success in 2025. Split Fiction wasn't full price. You're getting like big budget games that are not launching at $70 or even $60 a lot of the time and just having great success. And I think that this is a trend. You're going to Hollow Knight at $20. I mean, this was a year of a lot of power moves for consumers in terms of the pricing on software. And also, like, back to that point, the walking back of the $80 game. Like, this has just been a really good year for consumers and pricing for software. Obviously, hardware pricing is ridiculous and through the roof and all that, but in terms of the software, it's been a really good year for getting high quality games for a reasonable price.
Mm. Yeah, it's something I mentioned this before as well. They also seem to be discounting games a little bit more deeper, not across the board, but I've noticed a hell of a lot more digital sales where it's really deep. And it's like, okay, you didn't go this deep before for certain games. That's kind of crazy. And they're also, in some ways, like KCD2 with its DLC being 40, I think I paid for it when I paid for it like a month or two ago. That's a this year game of the year contender, and all of its DLC for less than its day one price. Like, that's insane. Um, so yeah, pricing has been really good for the most part, unless you're a subscription service.
Right. Yeah, it's been rough. Hardware subscriptions not great, but actually the software's
Mm.
been fucking rock solid. Um, in 2025. I think this is a really good trend to see that like the most successful games of the year were not, or more often than not, were not $70 titles. And so, yeah, shout out to giving the consumer a win wherever we can get it. Thank you, Expedition, Mafia, Oblivion Remake, Split Fiction, etc., etc.
Yep,
What is your loser for this? Your least favorite trend?
it's tough because I had one that I had full out, and then there's been one that's come out recently, and I think it is gonna trump it, and it's gonna probably be a little bit controversial because people are gonna be opinionated on it. But how quick people turn in gaming. And what I'm referring to is the Sven Vink thing. It is fucking blown out of proportion. Of where he had that interview and it was talking about how they use AI in certain ways, and people have now like pinned him as being some fucking all being sinner for doing it. And people have come out and been giving evidence to being like, well, you realize that AI is in a lot of the shit you use, right? YouTube, Google, anything Microsoft related. Expedition 33 used it. Tons of games have been using it. Arc Raiders used it and stuff like that. It's a really weird. I get it. I don't want something to take jobs away from people. Of course, it's already a tough enough industry as it is. But acting like he is the only person who's used it, it doesn't. From what has come out evidence, what he's said they use it for, it's not even fucking bad either. It's not like they use it to basically skim different artwork to help people get inspiration. So in the same way that if you were to sit in a boardroom and brainstorm things, which is what a lot of devs do, where you go on Google, you turn around and go, okay, well, when we're thinking about how to make the character feel, think of scenes that also do this, and they go and pull this from a TV show and pull that. It's just that. It's so fucking. I don't even know the word for it. It's so baseless, it feels like, to go after him that hard, especially after what they've given you with Baldur's Gate. Are you seriously telling me that that's who you're gonna go after as a cardinal? It's insane. And it's like you need to understand it's a tool. If they use it in the correct way, that's the only thing that matters because it's going to be used regardless. Technology is a ball that's constantly rolling, it doesn't stand still. This is just something that's happened and it's going to keep happening. You have it used in every, like, even PlayStation use it for fuck's sake to generate the frames, the frame generation thing. That's AI. And you hear people shitting all over that and saying that they're monsters for doing it. It's just it really, really annoys me, and I'm sure that's come across.
Yeah, there's different degrees of like generative AI in terms of if a job is being lost because of the use of AI and you are a company that's well funded, yeah, it looks pretty shitty to me. No doubt about it. But
Hmm.
if you are like the thing with the altars, I'll never forget people were like outraged, like saying that they're boycotting the altars. And then I went and looked into it. I'm like, guys, the
It's the
fuck are
same
we
thing.
talking about? Like,
Exactly.
we can't.
It's
It's listen. I the reason that AI games are never going to catch on is because they're going to suck. They're going to always
yes.
be dog shit. That's not what we're talking about here.
That's the thing with where people it feels like they're getting the misconception from is that you've had some of these games where they have hit the storefront and been basically heavily used, but and they're just the crap games that have always existed. You've had them crappy 10-minute platinum games and stuff like that. It's that, yeah. You're not. Are you really gonna sit there and think that Larian's gonna use it in that way? Come on, seriously? Just yeah.
You know, man,
It really rubbed me the wrong way because it was such a shitty thing to see that go through.
I I think for mine, I'm actually going to stay with Lariat as well in a different direction. This is very fresh on my mind. I honestly didn't have a lot of things that were bumming me out this year, but the reemergence of CG trailers. Have you been noticing this? Like it's becoming a thing again, where it seemed like we got away from that. And it was like, okay, if that's all you have to debut your game, then just don't fucking do it. And that it felt like that became kind of common and an understood sentiment around games in general for the last couple of years, where games would debut with trailers and they actually had gameplay or at least concept gameplay, something.
Yeah, at least the snippet. I can see that because, like we saw with Divinity, there's nothing there.
Nothing.
Because the danger with doing that is what happened when we were doing the show. You were sat there questioning whether or not it's going to be live action thingy or turn based. It offers no answers at all. It's very cinematic. It looks pretty and stuff like that, but it gives you nothing other than it exists. And yeah, that's cool to know it exists, but you have no information on it whatsoever.
And like previous games in the franchise have been real time, previous games in the franchise have been turn based, and it's like we don't really know what's going on. There's no, yeah, it's not even that for like even with Photor, like we know what Photor is going to be if it ever comes out, but like guys, I understand you need to hire people, this, that, and the other, but it's just a it felt like the Game Awards this year in specific was almost from a bygone era with the CG trailers, and I know I'm fresh off of it, so it's in my mind. And to be completely real, I just didn't come up with a good answer for this one. There wasn't a lot that bummed me out about gaming in 2025. This is just a really, really great year. Of course, the my least favorite trend is the layoffs. Like, yeah, no fucking shit, guys. Of course, I hate that as well as everyone who's a normal, rational human being hates it as well. I'm not. What I hate even more than that is fucking trying to placate and get good boy points. We all hate layoffs, obviously, but trying to think of something that felt unique to 2025 specifically, which CG trailers have been around forever as well, and they're always going to be used. But coming off the Game Awards, it's like, God damn, we got a lot of that shit. We got a lot of, Photor into Tomb Raider, into Divinity, into there was one more the Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah, Warlock
Yeah.
didn't really show much. It's the thing as well though, because it's something that's happened in the past. When done this with Dead Island, and they've done it with Watch Dogs, and you've seen the product of what was shown originally and then what came out, we have that bad taste. So you have that worry of like, oh, well, is Photo going to be hopefully not, but terrible? Is it just going to be you're just trying to mask it and just get it out and just try and ride off of it? Is Divinity going to be bad? Probably not, but like probably could have shown something, even if it was just like a follow-up thing. Do the cinematic for the Game Awards and then be like, yeah, and check out our channel for some gameplay as to what we expect, early works and stuff like that.
Exactly, man.
But it is what it is. Like you said, it's not. I don't feel like it's been a terrible year in gaming.
God, no.
It's kind of struggling to think of something inherently negative.
Yeah,
And that's
man.
why I was like, phew, thank God that Twitter thing went up when it did, because I would have also struggled. So that's also just fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
It won't feel as shitty in like a week or two.
Well, let's see what games will be fresh in your mind 10 years from now. The most influential game of 2035 is our next category, and this is going to be awarded to a game that released in 2025 that you'll really still be seeing the impact of that game in 2035, as games take a long time to develop, and yeah, that's kind of how shit works. But what game that released in 2025 will we still be seeing the influence of in 2035?
This is more a hope than anything. And I'm sorry it's getting boring, but I will be leaning on Expedition 33 for this. I want turn-based to come back strong in this way. Because it feels like it's been floating around here and there. You get like a title or two each year of very high quality, and then the rest are kind of still stuck in the past. Like nothing against stuff like King Arthur, Legion 9 and stuff like that. They're just very, very old in its design. It would be nice to see them take that next step up, even if it is just moving from that to a very watered down version of, say, Divinity Original Sin 1. I don't expect them to go from that to Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff like that, or even Wasteland 3. But yeah, Expedition for me.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be boring here, but my pick is going to be Expedition 33 as well. So I'll just kind of continue off your point. It's undoubtedly this is going to be the most influential game in 2035, in my opinion. You're going to see the big studios, Square, and lots and lots and lots and lots of turn-based RPGs that are mimicking this formula to a T, combat-wise, stylization, visual fidelity. It proved that it was viable, and that was the conversation that you and I had to start the year off as we were making our big predictions episode and going through it. And it's like, this is the game that's going to prove it or not, of if it's viable in modern times or if it's not. If it flops, not even if it flops, if it sold metaphor numbers, it would have, no motion would have been had. It all respect to metaphor, all love to metaphor, but it's like, that's not, those type of numbers aren't going to push Square to be like, oh, we need to do this. But whenever you're outselling Final Fantasy, then it's like, yeah, you're outselling the real-time games. So let's, and of course it's on all the platforms, yada, yada, yada. But that I think it's a lot more than that. I think that there's something to people wanting this turn-based style of gameplay loop, and I'm not even one of them. So, but I respect the fuck out of it, and I see that it's going to be the trend moving forward.
Yeah, a good portion of it as well is because I love the metaphor. It's just a safe game. The thing that has attached people onto it as well is that people being turn-based fans of JRPG, they're waiting for that next step. This has been done in ways before, of course. This isn't completely they've thought of it all themselves. It's just again, like we've talked about with the roguelites and stuff, it's just taking something and then putting a spin on it. Changing this knob, changing that and stuff like that. And that's what this was. And that was it's a breath of fresh air. For a lot of people, it's quite sold as well as it did.
I had another answer on here, but I don't really know how to position it. And just Obsidian, like their studio structure and style is something that I thought about including in here of like a big fucking studio that splits off and segments into very specified groups working on very specific games. And like I don't really know how to
Hmm.
word that though, but I think that they might be the blueprint for like how a lot of AA and AAA studios are going to survive in 10 years. In 2035, I think you're going to see a lot more
Yeah.
200 head studios working on 3, 4 different games.
What's even crazier is that they made that pivot relatively quickly. Like Square Enix tried to do this and really struggled, whereas Obsidian kind of remorphed, did their thing, and their output's been insane. You'd think that doing that kind of shake-up would disrupt productivity and stuff like that, but no, their productivity's been really damn good.
Well, and it's also the thing of like, as we're seeing technology get greater and greater and more accessible and open for smaller teams to be able to make games that do look like a fucking Expedition 33 or do look like a even as we're talking about Dispatch, you could probably throw them in here. You're going to see a lot of adventure games taking from that formula and that in terms of animation style and all of that. But like, I think that as you're seeing technology evolve, it makes a lot of sense instead of putting 300 people on one project to spread those 300 people out into 50-man groups, 25-man groups. And Insomniac is another studio that's doing something similar where you have the team that's working on Ratchet, and they've been working on Ratchet for like 4 years now, in the hopes of launching it in like 2027, 2028. And then you have the Miles team, the Spider-Man 2 team, the Wolverine team, the X-Men team is currently like there is something to this philosophy. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So, but no doubt, I'm with you. Expedition 33 is the most influential game of 2035, without a shadow of a doubt. Most ambitious. What game released in 2020? We're on our final three, so not not too bad on timing here. Um, what is the most ambitious game that released in 2025, Loon?
That's really tough because there's several angles that you can go about it. I am gonna probably tip it to Expedition, unfortunately, back to back. Sorry.
No, you good? I got a different one
Um,
for this one.
a very small dev team doing what they did, and then on top of that, the budget that it was, whether or not that's 100% accurate. But even if it isn't, it's not going to be in the hundreds. Like it's still on a budget. The motion capture work for what they did for it as well was really good considering what it was. So yeah, just commendable that a small team like that pulled that off.
Yeah,
Even if it's extra contractors coming in and stuff like that, it's still the core small team that thought of all these ideas, pulled it all together, got the talent, and built that foundation.
yeah. I am so curious about the actual budget on that thing. Like, if it is truly $10 million, everything accounted for, that is legitimately one of the most astonishing accomplishments in the history of this medium. Like, that is unbelievable if true. Um, but
Because I'm
regardless,
thinking if they picked him up off like just as just a spitballing kind of thing, like if they picked him up off of Reddit, the music guy and everything, like that's not you're not having to pay record labels, which is what usually eat up a big chunk of money.
hmm
He could have just basically turned around and said, basically, give me a bit of chump change. It's going to use it as exposure for me if this is really good and stuff like that. If it sells really well, we'll kick you a bit of money and stuff like that. It's just being very smart with them kind of business decisions rather than overreaching.
for my selection for most ambitious game of 2025, I'm going with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 by a fairly wide margin, in my opinion. I think that this is yeah, this is something, man. It is really, really impressive what was pulled off here in terms of a realistic, simulated world with NPC behavior that it feels spontaneous. It doesn't feel like it's just things happening on a loop. They're reacting dynamically to what you're doing in the game world. If you steal something, that's recognized. If you do wrong to someone, like they are accounting for all of the decisions that you make. And just the, as we talked about earlier, sharing the booth with the voice actors and the amount of lines that were written for the different voice actors, and just the amount of story context that is littered in throughout this game, whether it be as you're just roaming around the world and I stumble into this bar and here's a full thing that unfolds that I didn't expect. And it's just a incredibly dynamic game with so many systems upon systems that and once again, talking about budget, to do it for $40 million and to be a legitimate Scrolls competitor. It's in that adjacent space of like it's doing the Elder Scrolls thing arguably as good, if not better, than fucking BGS has ever done it, for
Mhm.
$40 million. And yeah, it's just a really, really impressive game. Also, shout out to the Altars. The Altars is incredibly ambitious as well.
Yeah, another one where I wished I got around to experiencing it because it's ambitious in the way that like that kind of concept had no right to work as well as it did. It kind of reminded me of like the Harold Halibut kind of thing of where it's like you have an idea, but you that could get very mundane very quickly, and
Mm,
it didn't. For a lot of people, they seem to love it. They really clicked with it.
absolutely. But heading on into the game we wish we played in 2025, the title that released this year that we did not put any time into that we wish we did, what would your selection be, my friend?
So I thought about there's been several South of Midnight, there's been the Altars and stuff, but I decided to go with Inazuma 11 Victory Road. I have no ties to this series whatsoever, but to my knowledge, it is a IP that's released before. This is like a sequel, and it's like a JRPG turn-based football game that has like a really heavy emphasis on the narrative as well as playing the game. It's kind of incredible. Um, so yeah, don't know too much about it. I've been kind of hoping people I know had played it to give me a little bit of a hook. I'm a little bit on the fence because it is still I don't think it's gone on sale at all. Which, considering it was in development hell for as long as it was, get as much money as you can, guys. But I've been keeping an eye on it and hoping that I can get some extra context on it because it looks really good for what it is.
Yeah, I'm
It's
watching the
unlike
trailer.
anything else really that's out there.
I'm watching the trailer now and I'm like, damn, the animation work is really, really strong.
Mm.
It's got a thing to, like anytime there's a sports game that comes out that has a legit story attached to it, I do want to for sure check it out. Um,
I think it's got two as well. From what the little bit of research I did, you have like a normal story mode where you're going through with like a team and stuff like that, and then there's a time traveling mode where it's somebody from the far future that comes back and then experiences football through the ages,
oh
which was kind of
wow.
interesting. And it's obviously a very anime-esque thing where it's over the so like you're experiencing it through the ages to save your age of football, like very dramatic and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's I don't know, man. It looks charming. Looks really charming.
Yeah. Shout out Inazuma, uh, the game Loon wished he played. And then for
Mm.
my wish pick, I wish that I would have played. There's a few Mario Kart World, Arc Raiders, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Little Nightmares 3. But I think I'm going to go Little Nightmares 3 for my winner on this one. I loved Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and there's just something about it where I don't really want to play the third one because I've heard like mixed things on it. And then at the same time, I really want to play it because I'm such a fan of 1 and 2. I, I don't know. I really, I know it went on sale during Black Friday and I almost picked it up, but it's I have to play it at some point just because I like the other two games so damn much. And even if it ends up being like I look at Little Nightmares 1 and 2 as excellent games. And even if this ends up being like okay, then you know, that's fine enough.
I think what'll be interesting though is you'll be able to tackle it from because you're so passionate about the first two games. You're gonna have little nuances that you're gonna really like that another team's tackled in a different way, and then not like in other ways. I think it'd make a really decent analysis.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out at some point. I should have got around to it this year. It's just you
Where was
worry
the
about that.
time?
Yeah, well,
As well.
it's not even that. Like I thought about picking it up during Black Friday, but then I'm like, fuck, man, I just don't want to play a bad Little Nightmares game. I'd rather end it off with Little Nightmares 2 and have a excellent
Mhm.
send off and just not even think that this exists and then play Reanimal next year with the actual team making the actual game that they wanted to make. But anywho, 2026, the game we wish we played in 2025. Now it's time to wish for something in 2026. We end off the award show with a wish, something hopeful, optimistic to put into the ether. Loon, what is your wish, one wish for the video game world in 2026?
I'm gonna cheat. I want a double-barreled wish.
Uh-oh.
Um, I with their laser focus on making this a ecosystem across all devices and stuff like that. I want to not only see greater green lighting, like frequency of playing our titles, they need to figure out how to get that 360 backwards compatibility shit to work.
Mm,
And it cannot be streaming related. Don't just be like, yeah, you can stream that shit. No, I want I want it working as intended. None of that streaming nonsense.
yeah, I am really curious what they're going to do with that 360
Because
backwards compatible program.
big beard guy, whatever his name is, he was alluding to the 25 years or 20 years of Xbox is
Yeah.
next year. Um, and he was kind of alluding to something like that, but from the past and stuff like that. So I hope that that is the case. Or if it is just that they reopen the backwards compatibility program, be a little bit less happy, but there's still a ton of titles that do need to be brought onto that program. So
Yeah, it's just
win-win.
really tough to figure out like how are you going to get the idea across that the next thing that you buy is actually your Xbox. You know what I mean? Like that's the messaging is going to be that's going to be everything. Well, it's going to be something to see. There's a lot of other hurdles in the way before we even get to that. But
Come on, they make things very interesting and fun, even when they crash and burn with their crappy marketing.
there's no doubt about that. They are definitely the most interesting of the three right now. But a lot of that is because of the instability.
Stop eating yourself, Microsoft. But I taste so good. No, stop it.
You know, and that's not to go into a full diatribe here, but like that's one of the things I don't really agree with, where people are saying like, oh, these are stepping on rakes and self-imposed wounds, and like I don't really agree with that at all. Like This is fucking desperation plays of like, you got to figure something out or you got to get out.
Oh yeah, because the exclusive even clearly didn't work. They can't work it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
BGS's next big game, it didn't do anything at all.
I mean, but it did.
Yeah, it would have been different if it didn't.
It
It
sold
couldn't.
hella consoles. It came out and the
Um,
series console spiked in sales. Like
it's like
the
that though. It's the moving of that kind of thing.
but I
It
mean
would have
this
been different if it shifted like 10 million, 5 million on its own alone.
but you can't have that all on one game. That's the thing is we never even got to see the proof was never in the pudding because the pudding was never made. You had to
They're
have
not
the
that's the thing though. They're not that patient. That's my point. Is that that's what they expected. See, so you also have to balance that with realism. Of that's what they were hoping. They didn't get it. They're not going to sit there and just sit on their hands. They spent so much money. It's time to get a move on, and they've chosen to change their business strategy.
yeah. And like
This is what we have.
yeah. And it is going to be it's going to be such a fascinating year next year to see like just what the fuck happens because after the announcement of the 2024 business update and console sales just plummeted as a result of like, oh, if we can play our games on a PlayStation or a Switch too, then we'll just go and grab those devices instead of an Xbox. And like that, so they're obviously pivoting away from that, from the console
Mhm.
business, but it's like, it is the communication for the next gen is going to be crucial to just even understanding what the fuck this thing is because that was such an uphill battle with the ROG Ally of like, there's people who just don't know what it is. Like there's people who just have no fucking idea. They're like, oh yeah, well,
Mhm.
I'm gonna buy this in my Xbox games. I'll play my Xbox
Yeah,
games on this thing. It's
they
like,
should. I don't know how much equal blame that was on like Ace. Like how like you should have just taken entire control of like the marketing and stuff like that and made it a fucking 100% transparency instead of smoke and mirrors. Because like there were people who still purchased it when it came out and booted it up, and they were like, "Well, where's my library?" And it's like, yeah, that partially falls on the blame of you. You should probably do your research before buying something so damn expensive. But the Xbox logo is on it. So that falls on you, Xbox, to fucking make sure there's no level of misunderstanding possible.
and
So,
it's somewhat irrelevant for a device like that. Like I do like, who gives a fuck, I guess, at the end of the day, but you are still selling it with your logo on it.
yes.
The thing for the next gen, that's where I'm like, bro, let's not do this again. Let's have clear communication for what this thing is going to be. Um, but at the same time, like, yeah, it is fascinating because if it is going to be this $1,200 $1,500 thing, then who cares? Again, I guess you can apply the same logic of like, who really gives a fuck? Let's just say it's an Xbox. Let's throw it out the door and keep keep on moving. But we shall see.
What is your wish?
I will go with, I hate to be so simple. GTA 6, please release. I'm just going to type in GTA 6, please. Good Lord, I want to play a fucking Rockstar game so bad. And we just don't get them. They're not available for us to play. Um, it's crazy that this thing, if it gets delayed one more time, it will be 10 years from the time we played Red Dead 2 to, well, I guess 9 years from the time we played Red Dead 2 to the time we end up playing GTA 6 if it slips to 2027. Almost a decade from, what most people consider one of the most talented, well-renowned studios in the history of the industry. It's like, goddamn, guys, one game every 9 years. That's not great. I mean, I was going to say it's not going to cut it, but it definitely is cutting it in terms of financially. You're doing fine, but man, the fan base, we're getting old. There's people that are dying waiting on this fucking thing to release. I remember I was in the hospital thinking, God damn it, I'm not going to make it to see I'm going to be the meme. I'm not going to make it to see GTA 6. Fucking A, dude. I want to play this thing
Yeah.
before I kick the
They've
bucket.
kind of they've kind of boxed themselves in that corner, though. I don't think you can speed up the way that they make worlds. It's just they put so much emphasis on detail ever since GTA 4 came out. They've just hyper fixated on stuff like that and just, for instance, like internet cafes and stuff like in GTA 4 and putting so much effort into all the different websites you can. There's that whole more effort went into that than some games' entire development. It's
Yeah.
insane. So, yeah, it's just the way it is. Um, I'm sure it will. There's a lot of people who are like umming and ahhing whether or not it's going to meet expectations. I don't. It's going to be what you hope for. I'd be very surprised if they drop the ball.
You know,
They've
I
not really done a dud. The definitive edition wasn't them, and that's the
no.
closest. Like
It's
it's gonna
interesting,
be
because like what if it is an 88? That's where the conversation gets weird because like an 88 is the greatest game that Xbox has released, PlayStation has released, like not the greatest, but you know what I mean, like it that is
no, it's
up
up there.
there.
It's an all-time great. It's on the precipice of being top 10 of all time, potentially. It's like on the cusp of clawing into that. And it's crazy to be like, yeah, that's like, what if they slip to that? Come
It's
on, man.
fucking hilarious.
It's that just shows you the level that nobody in the industry works on their level. They exist in their own bubble.
Yeah,
It's insanity,
but
you know?
it is it like yeah, I could go round and round with this. I'll hop out of your hair, but I I hate to admit this to you, Loon. If this comes in at an 88, I will like okay. If it comes in at an 88 to me personally, I'm going to be disappointed by that. And I know that's not fucking fair. Like I'm aware of that. I'm aware that that's not fair. But I've
Okay,
waited a
well,
decade for your fucking game.
we'll pick the what would it have to be an 88 then? Like, what would it have to be dropping the ball for your expectations?
I
Because
think
if you were to quickly like rattle and spitball off, like, what's Red Dead 2 for you if you were to put it into a Metacritic out of 100?
97, 98. I don't
I cannot fathom how that would drop 10 points. That would have to be catastrophic levels of like fumbling on, yeah, every aspect.
I mean, I think GTA 5 is like a 93, so it's like you're getting kind of closer as you I think Red Dead 2 is the greatest game ever made. In terms of like it's not my favorite. I think it's the best thing that's ever been created in this medium. But I I have a few things like I do just wonder. Okay, yeah. You've it's been since 2013. Oh, okay, let's say 2018, Red Dead 2, right? But in that time period, I wonder how much of a focus GTA 6 was versus GTA Online. Like, I do
Yeah.
wonder if this game has only been in development for like 4 or 5 years. And this whole idea that we're building up to a decade long wait and it's going to be the most this, most that, most. What if it's just GTA 5.5?
Damn.
I hate to end the video on such a sour note.
Damn. Damn. See, that's crazy because it's not like I have no investment in it whatsoever. I love Red Dead 2. I've tapped out on GTA long ago. So like it's really cool to have something like that on the horizon and you have no horse in the race whatsoever. It's just going to be sitting back and being like, if it's bad, that's going to make for some hella interesting internet discourse. And if it's
Jesus.
amazing, it's going to be cool to see like that product reach brand new heights. Like it's just a win-win for me.
Is it over? if GTA 6 flops, not flops, but if GTA 6 doesn't land in the way that we expect Rockstar games to land, is that it? Like, I do
No.
think that that's a. I'm not saying that is that it for Rockstar or anything. Like, I'm not saying the studio's
I
going to
don't think
shutter.
they'll get punished, is my point.
No, no.
Because you have such a snowball that people will buy it in the level that they'll buy it. They won't be punished even if it came out as like a 70. Like so many people are in there day one, you're not going to get punished.
So, okay, yeah, I explained that wrong. Let's say let's say it's an Anthem release and it's just botched. And they got like online integration into the single player. You can't do anything without fucking signing in. It's just a shit show in terms of like designed to be as
Mhm.
predatory as possible, right? What if it's that? It, is it a situation like you see the videos nonstop? We all see them. They're in all of our algorithm. AAA gaming is dead. Da 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 da. I hate to like even suggest this, but could it be possible that that is like the moment? Rocksteady, BioWare, the BGS, the falling of giants that Ubisoft that is happening so consistently. Is Rockstar like the final head of the
Oh,
snake?
why I also still just don't think that could be possible. It's the type of thing of like you could never see McDonald's going under as an example. They just do one thing and they just do that. And that's kind of like Red Dead's come out, but that's never been like it's golden. Like GTA is its golden child. They've got the golden goose. You probably need 13 different keys going through and 100 different locks to request that a font gets changed on the main menu, kind of thing. Like it probably has so much laser. What's The word I'm looking for? Supervision
Mm-hmm.
over every aspect that goes. I don't think they can botch it in that way. And I don't think like as booming as that online is, I don't think they're deluded
Mm.
to integrate that into the single player. You can add aspects to pull from and stuff, but I think they cracked the code with GTA 5. Make your single player game and just place your multiplayer game on top of it. It just works. You don't need to think outside the box. You've figured it out. You've done it. Do
Yeah,
it again.
it's
It's incredibly simple.
those are the two things like going into 2026 that I am by far the most interested in. Xbox launch or announcement, what the marketing, the everything behind that, GTA 6 launch. Those two things like it
If they both fall
oh
flat
my
on their
god.
face. Oh, what a man.
It's so
The
depressing of a
the the
thought.
the chaos cynicism in me is like
Listen, I'm here for it. I'll cover it. I was going to say happily. I don't think I don't know. I would be very bummed about GTA 6 being middling. Like that would fucking crush me. Xbox, I kind of have come to expect fumbling, but like I yeah, GTA 6 if it comes out next and add that to the wish of like be good, be of that same old caliber, old quality bar. So we'll close off with that cuz if that bombs, man, my entire what I know as video games is no more in 2027 and beyond if GTA 6 bombs in November. So,
yeah. You'll still have Cyberpunk 2, yeah,
I
and
mean,
Witcher 4.
to be fair, yeah, those probably would go on to be like my most anticipated games from my, I guess, favorite studio, one of my favorite studios at that point that I
It,
don't trust at all to do anything right on day one. So I don't, my most anticipated game, I don't even know if I'd buy it on day one because I don't know if it'd function on day one for Cyberpunk 2 and The Witcher 4. It's like, what the fuck, guys?
modern gaming,
It's
such a
beautiful.
beautiful thing.
Well, my good people, I uh I appreciate y'all for sparing your 3 hours and 40 minutes with us. Use those time codes. I told Luna, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to get this under 2 hours. We're under 4 hours, I guess. That's a win. I have a 4 hour game of the year ranking, and we got a 4 hour award. Hey, I mean it's a celebration of the year. We're discussing and I said something in my game of the year ranking like in-depth video game conversation is a lost art, and we're definitely trying to keep the painting, keep the strokes abreast. Pause. Anywho, Loon, I appreciate you for joining me for this extravaganza. I am.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I hope you have a good holiday season, my friend. I hope that you. I. It, never mind. Let's as my wheels
I'll, I'll
start.
be I'll be cooking a very succulent roast. There you go.
Nice. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. My wheels start turning into a totally different tangent. I'm like, all right, let's give Loon a fucking. It's 10 o'clock p.m. Loon's time. It's 11 p.m. your time, right?
20 to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's let you get you some good old holiday rest, my friend. I'm about to go grab a holiday pizza and watch
Mm.
MinMax's top 20 games of the year podcast debate. I have been fucking just waiting to feast upon this with a big old. I think I'm gonna go Domino's. Yeah, I'm getting some nice chain fatty filth in my arteries today. So, Loon, do you have anything you want to plug before we hop out of here, or you're just like, get me the fuck out of here, you absolute.
Yeah, you plugged the channel earlier on. Um, yeah, it's just the only change is that I think it's going to be a weekly upload over there now. We'll see how that goes. I think I got 2 videos to come out, so 2 weeks from now are done. Who knows if I'll hit a schedule? Maybe it'll just be sporadic shit spat out every now and then. Who knows?
Man, I've thought. Shut the fuck up, brain.
No, you can go.
I, I I've thought about that a lot. Of like, I do sometimes think about just being like, all right, let's just post when you want to. Let's just if something really hits you some news pops up that you're really invested in, want to talk about a game that you absolutely love that you want to discuss, like post once every 4 months, once every 8 months, once a week, 4 times a week, just like however it hits you. It's there is something beautiful about not really being so regimented. After fucking 7 years of doing this every single week, only time taking a break is when I had a hole in my esophagus, and then I was back like a week after, not even a week after that. Yeah, there is something it's when people are like, oh, how should I do this? What advice would you give for this, that, and the other? It's like, I almost think my advice at this point is to like, if you don't fucking adore it, then don't do it.
Yeah, you can't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks easy, perhaps, to some people. And then, yeah. You just need that. You need the drive more than anything. Passion and drive.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, more drive than passion.
Yep. Because when things dip, that's where you need to just plow through with the drive.
Yep.
Because
And
it is demoralizing.
oh boy, is it.
Sometimes.
I've been on a streak recently where videos are just bombing, and I'm like, I want to fucking. I just want to press the alt delete, fucking go away forever. But it's anyway, Loon, I appreciate you for joining me here today. The next time we convene and discuss, we'll begin a ramble, because we always on your channel, when we get together to do a podcast or whatever, the opening like 45 minutes on your channel is just us rambling about nonsense. So we'll put a pin in the conversation about depressing fucking analytical obsession, and
We'll save it for next time.
yeah. But my good people, I thank you all so much for wasting your time with us. As I hope that there's something to be garnered and enjoyed from this thing. I know that we always love getting together and shooting the shit for these long form discussions, and I know that there's a handful of people out there who enjoy listening to super deep dive conversations about games still left in the world. So we like to, you know,
You're all Steam Deck fans. That's what it is. We cater to you, baby.
yeah, yeah. That's we're the steam machine of video game podcasts. But we'll take whatever lane we're not even, but we'll take whatever we can get, man. We greatly appreciate y'all for your support, your tunage, your dial being tuned to this frequency, and stay tuned for. We're going to do our fantasy draft sometime soon. Actually, that'd be a good one for the next time we get together to collab on your channel, do a video for you, and then parlay that and maybe do 2 videos in one. Do the fantasy draft, because I think I might have whooped your ass this year, my friend. You picked GTA 6 number 1 and it fucked you. But
I was like, surely. I think I did Metroid as well. Like, fucking generational fumble.
Metroid might have did all right for you. 80 is decent for scores and the Fantasy Critic, but the GTA 6 one, that was, yeah. You had to pick it though. You had first pick. You had to pick it. I probably would have picked it first as well. So that's a tough call. You can't really win there. Well, you could if it came out. You definitely probably would have won. But anywho, guys, I appreciate y'all. Is this the 12th time I've said this exact same close off and then begin to? I'm gonna press stop recording. Have a good.